What's up and welcome back to the Kinda Funny Gamescast. Of course, I'm Tim Geddes and I'm joined by the new face of video games, Blessing Adeoye Jr.
What's up, Tim?
Nothing much, Bless. And rounding out our crew today, it's the Nitro Rifle himself, Andy Cortez.
Great afternoon, everybody.
Great afternoon to everyone indeed, especially Greg Miller, who's not with us because he's at jury duty. And our lives are just, we come back from the break, right?
We think we have a hold on something.
We think everything's good. Storms left and right, leaks left and right, just disasters across. Everyone's getting sick. Bomb cyclones.
Pineapple Express.
Utter disaster. And then, guess what? We're good. Jury duty. So we're trying our best here, but Greg is here in spirit. Today we are doing our Metacritic predictions for 2023. Greg submitted all of his predictions, his numbers. So we do have some input from Greg Miller, the ghost of Greg Miller out there. But go send some sweet, nasty love to Greg because I'm sure he's not having a great day right now.
Could you imagine defending yourself in the court of law and you turn to your left and you see Greg Miller just sitting there?
Greg's face, that scary,
with
scary
Cole
face.
sitting on his lap.
Yeah,
Ben is walking around the courtroom.
What I sort of suggested is that we leave a lot of printed out photos of him at his worst. Maybe with the Batman symbol shaved into his chest.
That's his worst.
Maybe him tombstoning the child.
Yes.
We print out photos, we leave them there at the court, and they just see it. They're just like, oh, this guy's not fit to be here.
Send him home.
Yeah.
Barrett, when you get back to the computer there, can you pull up Greg's Twitter? Because I would like to show an image that Greg posted, because Greg's already starting this campaign himself, Andy. I don't know if you saw.
I did, yeah.
But yeah, he's doing the best that he can to not do his civic duty and be here.
Imagine being a kind of funny best friend, and that was your day in court that day.
Yeah.
It was your case. You jaywalked, and
son of a
it was like,
bitch.
oh man, and you
so
look and you
fucked.
see Greg Miller, you're like, damn it. I listened to you. Oh my god.
Yeah.
This man is not right.
The tweet says, I'm on my jury duty lunch break, but it's looking more and more likely that they're going to let this man decide someone's fate. And it is a Corey Cudney gif of Greg with Joker makeup laughing, and God, I can hear this image.
Was this makeup edited in, or
No.
was this makeup that he?
No, that was real.
Oh no.
He wore it one day.
Yeah, he did.
Oh man.
Was that was Batman in
and then
review, maybe?
And then he kept it for what was it, Cuckoo in review?
Yeah, Conjuring.
Conjuring in review,
Conjuring.
and he just kept that makeup handy for that.
Was that the same
Stayed on
makeup for
theme.
the Ronald McDonald? Was that the same day, or is that?
No, these are all different things.
Oh shit.
That's Greg Miller for you. Well, you know what? This is the Kind of Funny Gamescast for you. Where each and every week we get together to talk about video games and all the things that we love about them. Of course, we like to do that on youtube.com/kindoffunnygames and podcast services around the globe. Just search for Kind of Funny Gamescast, and we'll be right there for you. Got a whole bunch of really cool stuff coming up soon. Some reviews, some previews, some other things that we do here on this show, all of that and so much more. If that sounds interesting to you, guess what? I have the deal of the century. Patreon.com/kindoffunny is where you want to go. You can get the show ad free. You can watch live as we record it, just like our Patreon producer, Delaney Twining, is right now. Shout out to you. I saw that they were saying this is their second live show they were able to catch on Patreon in the last 2 days.
Wow.
So that's awesome. That's
Welcome
awesome.
in.
We had a fantastic Kind of Funny podcast yesterday that you should go check out. Snowbike Mike joined us to just bring us his own Mike goodness. You know what I mean? I know you guys know what I mean.
You want to hear Mike talk about his sweet yams?
For an excessive amount of time.
Excessive amount.
Andy,
of time.
you missed out on no less than an hour of Nick and Mike going back and forth of I'm bringing the, what was it? I'm blanking now. I'm bringing the yams and I'm bringing the fuck.
I didn't miss out because I get it
all.
I get it every day anyway.
Yeah.
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 In fact, that would have just been an extra serving, and I'm full.
Sweet potato. Thank you, Roger. Thank you. Nick's going to bring the sweet potatoes.
And then Mike talked about what he wants on his thigh tattoo.
Yeah.
Yep.
So.
He wants a thigh tattoo blessing that just says "fuck you."
Oh, I've heard
Yeah.
this conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was asking Roger about it, and Roger's like, "No, don't do that."
But at the beginning of today's stream, we had a special stream today. It was our 500th stream, and we decided to. Thank you. We decided to join the lands between and have Nick join us in Elden Ring with this new co-op mod. It's a co-op mod that came out last year, and it's a mod that allows you all to just kind of run around together without summoning and all the bullshit that most FromSoft games have with co-op. And while we were creating the character, Mike shows up and shaved his mustache. And I'm like, God fucking damn it. I created your character with a mustache. But anyway, Nick asks, what's the plan? Are you going to grow back the beard, or are you going to do the goatee? And Mike is like, oh, we'll see. We got time. I can grow it back in, and we have time to kind of like fixate on a look and find the right look. And I was like, Mike, like you're acting like you have a PR agent being like, we got to figure out what's going to be on the action figure for you whenever we make
time. What does
like,
that mean? Just living your life?
He just so desperately wants a persona.
But here's the thing: the closest thing he has to a manager telling him like, "We need to figure out the look of this toy," is you making his look in Elden Ring, and then him actively going against the designed look.
He just shaved it immediately. It's just unbelievable.
It is unbelievable. Andy, where can people find that if they wanted to see it?
YouTube.com/KindaFunnyGames. That's where the whole VOD is up right there. We created Nick, we created me and Mike. I worked really, really hard to get us all super accurate to how we look. Nick the whole time running around just naked wearing gloves.
Hold on. I just want to let you know,
What just happened?
Snowbike Mike and Cool Greg just both
music
busted
played.
in the studio and music started playing like a fucking
Like
WWE entrance
wrestling.
theme.
Hey, did you need me? Were we talking about me? And
No, I'm just talking about you shaving your mustache and ruining the whole look
But
for
Blessing
Elden
gets
Ring.
it. Blessing gets it.
I actively said I didn't like it.
Blessing was like, Mike, I'm glad that you're exploring your look, and I'm so proud of you.
I asked you why you shaved. Grow back your facial hair. It's too clean.
Blessing gets it though.
Everything about that was fantastic. And I'm sure the stream was as well. I do want to give a shout out real quick. The boys have been killing it on the streaming side of things recently. Like I feel like this year there's been a new energy trying to like make the daily Twitch streams more premium content. Like I don't know the right way to phrase it. That might not be right, but like
more focused,
more
I'd
produced,
say.
more like let's make something. Let's do something, not just hang out. It's like hanging out with a purpose, you know?
Right.
And I think you've been really crushing it. So you can check out all those. The videos are on youtube.com/KindaFunnyGames live every day at 11 a.m. So you can check that out on Twitch and YouTube. But the VODs are all up on YouTube. So obviously I know a lot of people can't watch live, but definitely go check it out. I would say that some of these streams aren't what you expect them to be. They're not just like how the streams used to be. I do think that there's a lot more love and care put into it. So go check out the Elden Ring one for sure, because I know that Andy worked hard on it.
But I hate it so much here, where it's like the way that Mike is weirdly closer to his camera, especially on the day that he shaved. Like it really just feels like
It
doesn't look like
let's
Mike.
really focus in.
It accentuates the open lot there.
Yeah.
The vacant lot that is there.
Why is he always so close to the camera? It really freaks
I don't
me
know,
out.
man. Why is his chair all the way up whenever he sits on the set?
He
You
sticks
know?
out his tongue in the VOD. That looked perfect.
You nailed Nick's hair.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
The hawk, man. Oh,
Thank you.
There you go. There you go. Well, if you don't have dollars to toss our way on Patreon, that's cool. When you're on the Epic Game Store, use our Epic creator code KindaFunny, and at no extra cost to you, you get money in our pockets. So that's pretty damn cool. Thank you for all of your support. Some housekeeping for you. There's been a lot of cool stuff happening at Kinda Funny. So go check out all of it. Our Game of the Year episode was last week. The Blessing Show was last week. Go check that stuff out. It was fantastic. KFFL is over.
We'll see. We'll see.
Oh, okay, well, there's a new KFFL. You can check that out as well on youtube.com/KindaFunny.
Real bad day yesterday.
Andy, how do I get K FIFA going? Because I've been on a FIFA kick lately. I'm playing so much FIFA.
I mean, I'd have to learn what offsides is.
Oh, it's easy. The
say.
striker can't be behind the defenders is the thing. When you pass the ball.
Striker, Wolverine.
Mario.
Striker, yeah.
Mario Strikers, baby. Soccer.
Oh,
Come on.
yeah.
Come on.
Mortal Kombat Strikers.
Come on.
Yeah.
Exactly. Mortal Kombat Strikers. What?
Yeah, I believe there's a character.
Yeah.
Oh, characters.
Yeah.
I thought there was a game.
No.
We're a fucking mess here. Word association, everybody. Kinda Funny's best. You know what? We're doing it. The topic today is the Gamescast Metacritic bets for 2023. We're going to go through a big list of some of the bigger games. We have a really long list right here. Like I want to say there is 37 different games we have on this list. So we'll talk about it. Some of them we might not talk about as long as others, but I kind of just wanted us to give our predictions on where we think the game is going to fall with the Metacritic. Now, of course, for people that don't know, Metacritic is a website that kind of takes, it's an aggregator of a bunch of different review sites and averages all their numbers together to be the one number that kind of represents like the overall vibe. And it can be interesting because not anybody can just sign up their site to be part of Metacritic. You have to be approved in a bunch of different ways. For example, KindaFunny is not part of the Metacritic scoring. So although we give scores to a lot of games, our score is not part of that. And we don't want it to be at this point in time. So all that is good. It does mean, though, that some games only have a certain amount of reviews and some have way more reviews. And if games have more reviews, the chance of them having a lower score is higher. That's just how numbers work. So a lot of things for us to kind of keep in mind as we discuss these potential scores. And keep in mind a lot of what we're about to say here. I know this isn't going to get through to everyone listening, but I hope you can at least try to understand this isn't necessarily what we think the game is going to be, but what we think people are going to think the game is going to be.
The general consensus.
Right. General consensus.
And this is all pizza bet.
But yeah, it's all for all the pizza.
Every single game.
One pizza per
little pepperoni.
Pizzas.
That's a lot of pizzas.
Bunch of little pepperonis.
Yeah. So I am really, really excited about this. But yeah, if we end up wanting to talk about our own thoughts on what we expect from this, that'd be fun as well.
Sure.
The first one on the list was Fire Emblem Engage. But hey, guess what? The reviews are already out.
It's out.
I will say Greg sent in his prediction for this, and he predicted 82.
Oh.
Currently, guess what Fire Emblem Engage is on Metacritic?
No. 82?
82.
Oh, God.
82. I'm not going to give it to him, though, because we're not going to count it.
Did he
you know?
send that to
He
you
cheated.
today?
I don't know if he cheated or not.
If
I
he
wouldn't
sent
put
that
it
to you
past him.
today, that's definitely.
He's in the
look it up.
court of law, and he's out there lying. You know what I mean?
They do make people put their hands on the Bibles.
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
You can't
That
lie
dude's
to that.
hand will burn immediately.
Yeah.
It's just so fucked up. I love it, though.
He's just sitting there. He's like, oh shit.
Look at the idea of Greg Miller being unholy is like
He
accurate
really
and
is.
hilarious.
is.
But okay, let's get right into it. Forspoken, the first big game of the year. That's fair to say, right? I guess Fire Emblem Engage as well. But Forspoken, first like big like
AAA
next-gen game,
yeah.
PS5 exclusive here. The buzz going into it, not that positive, I would say. I'd say it's leaning negative for sure. Greg Miller coming in with a 74 prediction. I do think that's the realm I'm going in. I think that I wouldn't be surprised if Forspoken is better than most people thought it was going to be, but not good enough to
Set the
be
world
really
on fire.
special. And I'm not even set the world on fire. I don't even think it's going to be getting in the 80 ranges. Like, I think that I might even go a little lower. I'm going to go 72.
Are there prices right rules to this or anything? Like if I bet $1 and you guys all over predict.
The way we've done it in the past is you only get a point if you nail it.
Oh, if you nail it.
Oh,
okay.
You got to
Okay.
nail it. Okay.
All right. That actually puts things in perspective for me. Oh, okay. So Greg said what? 74?
74.
You said 72?
Mm-hmm.
I'm in that same place too, right? I think this is going to be an interesting one because the demo's been out. A lot of us have played the demo, right? And we kind of know where our expectations lie in that. And also there's the common just conversation people are having about Forspoken that puts it in perspective in terms of, all right, this is where people are going into this game with, right? And for some people, it is positive. I've seen enough people online say that they actually did enjoy that demo, especially when they wrap their minds around the mechanics of it, right? I think one of the issues with the demo is that they didn't tutorialize it well enough. My issues with the demo were mainly I didn't like how that game looked in a lot of the places. Like I think the environments, there's like a lot of greenery in the environments, right? A lot of green, a lot of plant life, a lot of that stuff. And I think like it reminds me how Andy talked about the foliage in Horizon Forbidden West when that game came out, where it's like a bit much going on, and that it kind of muddies itself when you're exploring the in the open world.
Now that was fixed by a bug.
Oh, was that a bug?
Yeah, that was fixed by a bug where people watching on certain displays or whatever, like a lot of people were like, "Oh, you probably don't have a good enough TV," and then it turns out that a little bit after that, they came out and Guerrilla came out and was like, "Hey, we're fixing this bug where there's a lot of visual noise." So that was like an actual visual noise issue where
Yeah.
things looked really noisy.
But when I played the demo, I still kind of got that vibe where I was like, there's just a lot going on in this world, but none of it looks particularly super high def, high quality, crisp in the way that I'd want it to. As I've explored through the world, I didn't really love the locomotion And that's been one of the things that's been highly advertised in the trailers, getting from point A to point B. The main character doing all these cool tricks and having all this cool magic to get where you need to be, right? Like playing a game like this for me should feel like I'm playing something like Spider-Man, right? Or something that a game that really that has really cool parkour mechanics to get to where you need to go. Sonic the Hedgehog, Sonic Frontiers. But I wasn't a big fan of that either. And then also like the combat didn't hit for me. The dialogue and the voice acting didn't hit for me either. Like Forspoken, if I'm being honest, is just not a game that I'm looking forward to personally, but it strikes me as one that just might hit for certain people depending on what your tastes are. So with that, I'm gonna say a 69.
Yeah, no, I don't
Say
think
69.
I have this at a 71.
Okay.
I have Forspoken at a 71. I think it's going to get enough 8s to bring up that score, but there's going to be plenty of outlets that do give like 6.5s or 6 out of 10s.
Yeah.
Because I do think that some of the weaker parts will outweigh the whatever positives there are. And I played the demo too. It took me a while to get into it, but by the end of it, I found myself a little bit more on the positive side. But I agree with Blessing, where it kind of reminds me of Stranger of Paradise's demo, where it just, it'll look, it can look pretty if it's running at its full power, but it just looked muddy and kind of like low resolution. When a lot of games kind of have a lot of shit on screen they need to show, they have like a variable resolution thing where it'll drop your image down from 1440p down to like 920 whatever p, and I feel like that happens a lot in this game, and it kind of just results in the game looking a little bit bland, even though every trailer we've seen looks amazing because they're usually running those on like the highest spec everything,
Yeah, it's interesting. This is a game that I was really hoping was going to be good, and I was hoping people are going to be wrong about, because like I really, really like the vibe of it. I like the tone, and I know a lot of the dialogue is cringy as hell to people, and admittedly, even for me, a lot of it is. But I liked a lot of it too, in a way that I do think I am set apart from others. But I'm like, cool. We haven't gotten a movie that feels like 2007, or gotten a game that feels like a 2007 action movie, but like I'm kind of down for that. I like the look of the main character, like the vibe of the magic stuff, but playing the demo, I was really kind of crushed, where I was like, oh man, I really don't like the way this feels. I don't like the momentum wasn't so much my problem as much as the combat, like the having to tap R2 as much of like to shoot out didn't feel good. Like it felt like the controls were fighting against me.
It feels so much better when you take off the adaptive triggers.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Like the adaptive triggers, just like it was with the amount of times you had to tap the trigger and the amount of times that it's fighting against you, it was just like, it was so unfun and weird feeling. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm still hopeful, but
I think the devs put out an update today that they are like updating the demo based on feedback.
Interesting. Okay. Cool.
Based on like I'm not sure exactly what they're fixing, but I know some of it was like text size. There is a setting in there where you can cut down on the chatter you get from the cuff guy. Yeah, you can like make that super minimal. Yeah, you can turn that all the way down, which is great because it was in that short demo. I heard the same conversation like 3 times.
Yeah.
And that's not great.
I will say the visual side of things, like I was super impressed. I wasn't really noticing some of the stuff you guys were saying. I was like, this is a fucking beautiful, gorgeous ass game. But
they added button mapping functionality. Locked on enemies will move off screen. That move off screen will remain locked on longer. Certain text size adjustments.
Some of these are problems I had.
Issues
so
have been fixed.
All right, cool. Maybe I'll give it another shot.
And this is just for the demo, so you got to assume that all this stuff is being applied to the core game.
This is a nitpick, but I also didn't like the fisheye menus. It
Oh,
seems
very
like
odd.
I was like,
It's
why?
Very odd choice.
Why would you do that?
So next game, Dead Space Remake, coming out really soon. This is a tough one to kind of predict the Metacritic of, right? Because we've had the original game. What's the original at?
86
Original's at 86
for PC. Yeah, for PC, and then 360 it's at an 89.
Yeah, I don't see the remake hitting quite that high of a score because it's a remake of a very old game. Callisto Protocol just coming out. There's like a lot of things against it, I think, in terms of the reviews being too high. But I still think that it's probably I'm going to go 80, between 83 and 4. I'm going to go 83.
Yeah, I'm in that same realm where I think it's going to be 80s. I currently have faith in this remake. It looks great, right? And like if you are just taking the original Dead Space and giving people what they want, right, and having it be beat by beat, it's like how much is there for you to fuck up, right? I think the fuck ups there would be mainly if it didn't run well, or if there's weird technical hiccups, right? Or if even the game just didn't age well and you're playing and you're like, oh man, this is an old game. But I think even that people are able to get past pretty easily, right? Because it is, I mean, that if that's what the game wants to be, that's what the game wants to be. That being the case, I'm going to say 86. I think it's going to do a repeat. I think it's going to, I think people are going to receive it probably the exact same way that they did back then, right? And like, in terms of reviews, if it gets the job done of, oh man, this game is fun, like it is Dead Space, it looks fantastic, it's bringing back this classic thing that I loved, but also it has the hiccups that maybe the original game did as well. I could see it landing out there.
Yeah, Greg predicted 85, so higher than me, closer to you there. It's a tough one for me because I feel like with EA working on it and like there's just things like that I think are gonna like be in people's minds what they're comparing it to. But I do think Dead Space has something going for it where it is one of the most recent games that I would call a classic, where I feel like Dead Space 1 specifically has kind of like stood the test of time of like people talk about that game with the same level of reverence as Resident Evil before it, or like even games like Mario or whatever. It's a franchise title, you know what I mean? That like because of that, I have more faith in this remake than I would other remakes.
I want to say 88.
Whoa!
Because I think Callisto is so fresh on everybody's minds. And I think they're going to make that direct comparison and say, like, man, I wish Callisto could have had this. I wish Callisto would have had this. I think that's people went into Callisto expecting a better Dead Space, and they didn't get that.
Mm-hmm. My thing there is I think that it's the reason I'm going lower is I think that Callisto being fresh in mind, they're like, oh man, I wish that it was more Dead Space. And then they're going to play Dead Space and be like, oh man, this wasn't what I remember it being. You know, like I think it might be that case of because Callisto was so close and a lot of people didn't love it. I think that people's nostalgia and memories of
Memory sounds like a Final Fantasy.
I know that is
Final Fantasy Memories.
Rememory.
But yeah, I'm hopeful, man. I'm really, really, really stoked to get back to Dead Space.
Here's what I'll say. Shadow Colossus PS2 on Metacritic has a 91. The PS4 version that was made by Bluepoint also has a 91. And I think for me, that's another case of a game that had all of the visual improvements in the world and had people still being like, oh yeah, like the original didn't age as well in certain ways, right? And like the Bluepoint version didn't really do much to the gameplay, but still scored that same 91, right? Because I think it got the job of being a remake done. I could see it being a similar thing where I think if they get the job of being a remake done, people might forgive some of the places where it falters because it is like, all right, well, how much do you really expect from something that is a remake of something that originally had those problems? But again, like that's gonna be a wait and see kind of thing. I think that is gonna be every reviewer has their own take on it and has their own way in which they approach it kind of thing.
Yeah, very interesting. Next up, Hogwarts Legacy. Another one that I don't know. I feel like we don't have enough evidence to understand. Is this going to be in the 70s, 80s, or 90s range?
Yeah.
Right? My gut right now tells me that all things considered, it's probably going to net out at like a 84.
Oh. That's higher than what I would say.
I was going low 80s. I said 81 on mine. I think there's going to be enough people that are super jazzed about being in that world and seeing it realized in this way, where, you know, the last time you were anywhere in a Hogwarts environment was old-ass consoles, right? Like, this is the first time they're seeing it in this way with this level of high fidelity. And there's going to be enough people that want to review this that are super stoked about the Harry Potter IP. And then I think there's going to be a lot of other people that also review it that maybe see, maybe compared to like Assassin's Creed open world games and sort of see similarities and be like, we've been doing this sort of system or this trope in open world games forever. Why hasn't it changed here? And I could see a lot of people giving it around like 6 or 7s, you know?
I'm unlocking mine at 82 here, where I think that it's going to be a very competent game at the very least.
Right.
And I think that it's going to deliver the Harry Potter world to people that want that. But I don't think that it's going to be like a revolutionary game or do anything truly special by itself that gets it to that 9
Yeah.
level.
I'm looking up Avalanche software right now to like get an idea of what they've done before.
Cars 3. That's the last thing they did.
Oh yeah, because they were the
Wow.
Disney Infinity Studio.
Yeah.
So this is kind of new territory for them, right? And like WB, of course, like this isn't necessarily new territory for them because WB you're talking about, you're talking about Shadow of War, Mordor, you're talking about Injustice, all this stuff, and like WB as a publisher has a track record that is usually good, but also sometimes you get Gotham Knights.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like sometimes you get Shadow of War also, which like Shadow of War was fine, but also wasn't. I don't think that one didn't set the world on fire as much as Shadow of Mordor, I'd say. And so yeah, like Barrett said, right? It's been waiting a little bit, and for a game that is coming from WB right now, coming off of Gotham Knights, going into Suicide Squad, which today we talked about how like people are feeling kind of iffy about that based on the live service stuff. Is WB Games in a place as a publisher where they're putting out the bangers, or are they very much like are they letting the dollar signs get in their eyes? Right?
And a game that's been in development forever as well.
For a very long time. I'm gonna say 77. I'm gonna say 77, which I think all in all would be good. And that is based off of seeing the trailers and seeing that like. I think the talent being put into this game from Avalanche seems to be good, right? Like I remember seeing their character creator a few months ago, and like the creator options alone, I was like, damn. For what I was seeing for like black hair in that game, I was like, it looks like they're doing more than what I usually see out of the average like character creator, right? Out of the average video game, let alone seeing clips of like the magic battles and all that stuff. Like it looks like it can be a fairly fun game, but at the same time. Do they have the stuff coming off of Cars 3? I don't know.
And before Cars 3, what was it?
Disney Infinity and Cars 2.
Which is great.
Disney Infinity is great.
But this is a much bigger project. But I imagine they have a much bigger team.
And there's tons of turnover
Tons
in
of
studios
stuff,
as well.
We'll see.
How prone is Metacritic to like not review bombing, but review buffing?
Well, so that's my thing. I mean, like, just the reality of this situation, I would not be surprised if a bunch of major outlets don't review this game.
Yeah.
And that would be on Metacritic normally, and they might be the ones that, for whatever reason, would be more critical, whereas a lot of reviews that are just, I'm a Harry Potter fan and I'm rocking for this. That's why I'm a little higher on it, where I think that where it falls, if I'm predicting correctly, I do think that there's going to be that, the numbers game that's played. But I don't think it's going to be that demonstrable, but we'll see. Next up, we have Wild Hearts.
That's the Monster Hunter style game.
Yep, that's the one coming from EA, being developed by Koei Tecmo. I think it's technically an EA original joint.
It is, yeah.
And honestly, this game looks pretty good. I played a preview build late last year, and I didn't get to play much of it. Right, I messed with it very briefly because I wasn't a Monster Hunter person, and I was like, I don't know what I'm doing in this thing. And it was a very early build. But it seems cool. All the contraption stuff that they've shown off, where you have all these tools that are very mechanical and like move in like these really cool ways. I think all that stuff looks cool. I think for reviewers, when it comes to this one, it's going to be about comparing it directly to Monster Hunter and going, all right, this game is going to succeed at being what it is if it's able to capture the fun and capture the essence of Monster Hunter. Can it do that? Can it not do that? And so far, I think there have been very few games that have even captured that a little bit. You know, I go to things like Freedom Wars on the Vita, or like, well, I think it was Dauntless a Monster Hunter game? Yeah, Dauntless. But even though, like, those aren't popular games, right? Like, both those games kind of came and went. Can Wild Hearts be the first one that really steps up to Monster Hunter and be a big thing? It's being published by EA. It's being developed by Koei Tecmo, so I think it has better chances.
I see this as any other battle royale trying to get into the game with titans like Warzone and Apex and all those multiplayer games. I see this being as something that people will maybe step away from Monster Hunter for a little bit and then eventually just go back to Monster Hunter.
The tough thing too is that the Monster Hunter Rise is coming out this month. Like a couple days maybe? It's coming out soon this month.
This does look a lot better than Monster Hunter Rise. I played the PC version of Monster Hunter Rise back in the day when they finally kind of went from Switch to PC, and you're basically playing a higher frame rate version of a Switch-looking game where like everything's still low res and has like low res textures and low polygons. I'm gonna guess that this is a 78.
Oh,
78. All right. I was thinking somewhere around there too. Also, I had to check. Monster Hunter Rise embargo is up, so I can't talk about it. I've been playing a little bit of Monster Hunter Rise on console, and like, yeah, I mean, it looks like a game that originally was developed for Switch. And granted, like, it looks higher res and it looks a bit cleaner and all that stuff.
And I guess for me, it's less of a thing where a lot of my scores here are based on, like, I think several outlets are going to give them a 9 and several outlets are going to give like 6 and 7s, right? That's how a lot of my scores are here. I just think this is going to get a lot of 7s and 8s.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's going to be like a pretty good game that people recommend, but doesn't really, you know.
Yeah, I think you're right. So Greg has it at 77. I put 74. There's something about this where I think there's going to be more of the low 7s than the 8s, and I think it's going to bring it down a bit.
I'm going to say 72. Is that what?
Oh,
what
shit.
you
It said 78.
You said 70. I'm going to say 72.
That's the lowest of any of us.
Yeah, I think I'm going to stick with it. I think Monster Hunter is such tough competition, and I think that's going to bring it down quite a bit.
Next up, we have Atomic Heart.
This game looks rad as hell.
This is the game that I refuse to believe will run smoothly on any device.
Yeah.
It looks amazing, like visually.
Can you give the pitch on this one, Andy?
Atomic Heart is kind of like a first-person BioShock style game, and when I say BioShock, I just mean that they're going for like this different kind of unique look that doesn't really fit in any era. It's very like kind of steampunky in a way, but a lot of
like BioShock mixed with Wolfenstein, the modern Wolfenstein,
Yeah.
a little bit.
Yeah, a lot of really unique looking enemies and monsters and weapons and abilities. And it just looks like it's going to run like shit if you're trying to run it like at a high frame rate or at a high resolution. Cool. It looks amazing. Like this is sort of one of those visual feasts that I love talking about. I love munching on. I'm going to guess that this one is an 81.
Greg Miller also goes 81.
Oh, motherfucker. I'll go 82.
You sure?
Yeah, I'll go 82.
I'm going 84. I think that this is going to be one of those ones that people are going to have something to say. They're going to have something to prove here, and I think that it'll if it's as good as it should be, and like if it runs well enough and whatever. Because I agree with you. I think that the performance will be the thing to take it down.
Yeah.
But overall, I think that people are going to rock with this one. I imagine that this is going to be on people's like favorite games of the year lists for the people that play it, if it lives up to what we expect it to.
This looks like one of those, hey, even on PS5 and Xbox Series X, it's still going to be 30 frames. Sorry, y'all. Like, this looks like one of those games that is going to be forced to be at 30 frames for whatever reason.
All right, Bless, where are you at?
I'm thinking.
But I'm be playing with ray tracing. And
Woo, trace those rays, Andy.
This is a Focus Entertainment joint, which could be great, could be terrible.
It could be anything.
Because like Focus, they did Plague Tale and stuff, right? And they've done Evil West and stuff, and like that could be anything. I looked up the Metacritic for Wolfenstein 2: The New Colossus because that's what this game reminds me of the most, and that sits at an 87 on Metacritic. And so now in my mind, I'm like, do I think this is gonna be better or worse than Wolfenstein 2: The New Colossus, which for me is like one of my favorite shooter campaigns ever.
Will they have the same personality as Wolfenstein 2, though, Bless? Think of like BJ Blazkowicz, his whole crew.
All
the personality of that game.
Cutscene to cutscene, Wolfenstein 2: The New Colossus. It's chef's kiss.
It's a banger.
But here's what I'll say. I looked up Atomic Heart. Composer, Mick Gordon.
Oh.
And if you want to make a banger
Wow.
FPS, you get Mick Gordon on the 1s and 2s, and also pay him what he's worth. You know what I mean? Oh, man. But here's the other thing. I looked up the developer, Munfish. Who are they? They're working on this game, Soviet Luna Park. It looks like it was a VR game, and that's about it. That comes up on their profile.
That was delisted.
That's to
I
pay the
believe.
bills, bro.
Yeah.
That one's making money for this thing.
They're a developer from Russia that I think left Russia, stuff like that. There's some interesting conversations about who they are as a developer in the last couple of weeks.
Oh, interesting. Oh, I'm gonna say 86. Say 86. 1 point lower than Wolfenstein 2: The New Colossus.
Cool. I'm gonna skip this next one. You boys are okay with that?
Sure.
You don't feel like raiding like a Dragonetian? You're not a Yakuza boy?
I guess 89 for them.
I'm gonna like PlayStation VR 2. I just put it here, but I don't even know if it's gonna be reviewed like that. I think that's
I don't think that
for us to talk about. So we won't put predictions for that. Horizon Call of the Mountain, though, I do think we should go for. Greg says 88.
88? Greg is a madman.
You think? I mean, look, there's a lot going into this. Like, I feel like this game legit has to be great. Because if it's not, what is PSVR 2 doing? Like, this would be a huge fumble for them for it to not be at least a 85. But obviously, I think that they're striving and hoping that this thing is a 90.
I will remind y'all that Tam got to preview this earlier in the year, and he came on to one of our shows, I think PS I Love You, and talked about like how much he like really fell in love with that game and how it previewed and stuff.
You know what? Maybe I'm speaking too soon because now I'm looking on Metacritics, right? And for a frame of reference for like VR stuff, Astrobot Rescue Mission for PlayStation VR 2 or VR scored a 90, and for me that's like one of the best VR games I've ever played. Right? Incredible video game. Half-Life Alyx scored a 93. Horizon Forbidden West, the AAA game that came out last year, scored an 88.
Yeah.
And with that, right, looking at that context, if this is a VR game that PlayStation's putting their all into because it is a launch game,
I mean, look at it,
and they're
right?
bringing Horizon level quality to it. You might be onto something with the. You said 88, right?
Greg
Greg
and
said
I
88.
both are at 88.
You guys might be onto something. I'm going to say 87.
I'll go 86.
I love you, Andy. Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe. Greg
Is this a
has it
port?
as an 87. This is a port of a Wii U game that was a remake of the original game. It's a tough one.
Can we?
Because who the fuck knows?
I was going to say, can we do this one in theory? Is it not just going to be the same Metacritic as the Wii one?
Yeah. And do we think enough outlets even like review it since it's just a port?
I mean, it's a Switch game. I don't know. I'm sure they'll review it. But let's skip
Things
it.
are rough in Switchland. They need stuff to play.
Yeah.
Let's just skip it.
Things like.
Octopath Traveler 2.
Here we go.
I'm gonna guess 90,
Wow.
Wow. All right. Andy
and only
Cortez.
because I think that this, along with another game later down on the list, I feel like the most hardcore from these genres are gonna want to be playing these games, and they are the ones that are wanting these sort of style of games. So I'm gonna guess 90.
I'm going to guess 82. And I guess that based off of the original Octopath Traveler scored an 83. Live Alive last year scored an 81. And so I feel like that's sort of the realm where these games that these games are landing at. And I think Octopath Traveler being the first one, being the first HD 2D game, had was more of a surprise in terms of how incredible the visual style was. For me, that was the premier thing about this game. And so Octopath Traveler 2 coming through and not having that as like the premier thing. Cool, we've seen this before. What are you bringing in terms of content? If it's the same level of content as Octopath Traveler, the first one, then I could see it dropping maybe a point or two.
I'm right there with you. I put down 82 for Octopath. Greg had 84. So Andy's on the higher side there with the 90. Wolong Fallen Dynasty.
Oh, this is where things get interesting.
Yeah, like, what do you guys think?
I have it down as an 84. Mostly because unlike Blessing, I didn't love the demo, and I think it's just needing to get used to a different style of combat and sort of whatever their sort of like here's what our upgrades look like. Here's how you should be kind of living and breathing in this world. And I guess I was just kind of straight off of some sort of Souls game, and I just wasn't quite feeling it in that moment. And I think it's going to be kind of like a lot of the other. Is this Koei Tecmo?
This is Koei Tecmo.
Yeah. I mean, most of the Nier games are not Nier. Neo games.
Oh wait, no, this is
this is Team Ninja.
Sorry, this is the same
shit.
developer as Neo.
Yeah, and I think just based on whatever Neo does, it just always seems like the Souls game to play when you're not playing a Souls game.
But it is published by Koei Tecmo.
Yeah, I'm going 84 as well. I wanted to go a little bit higher on it, but I think it being a new IP brings it down a little bit for this one. Whereas I feel like if it was more of a known quantity, I think it would perform a little higher. Greg has that at an 81. What about you, Blood?
Do you think if they call it Neo 3, it's getting higher?
I think so. You know, even if it was like,
3-0.
and like I know that
love
you
it.
can't just like take that franchise and turn it into this, but like I think that there's a lot of hype for this game being a new thing and just being like the kind of novelty of it, where it's like, oh shit, there's another game like this. But I still think that we've had a lot of those now, so it's like for it to hit that 88 range that I think, if I remember correctly, the Neos normally hit. I think it really needs to stand out. I'm not so sure that it's going to have that enough uniqueness to it.
So looking through, right, like Neo 2 revolves around like the 85, 86, 80, like 83, right? And that's all remastered ports and all this stuff. But they hit the mid 80s. I'm going to say 87.
Hey.
I really, really dug the demo. And I think when it comes to these games, the nerds know what's up already, right? Like, I don't think Wolong Fallen Dynasty is releasing with the idea that they're going to expand their audience that much, or that, like, you know, people don't know what to expect. While playing the demo, everybody and I hadn't touched the Neo games, right? I was playing this game and everybody in chat was like, oh, it's Neo 3. Like, if you like this game, you should play Neo. Like, this is basically just Neo 3, right? I think the fan base kind of understands it in that context, that it is kind of continuing that lineage, even though it's a different franchise. So I think there's that. But I also went back and I tried to play Neo 2, and I struggled so hard playing Neo 2. Like, I just could not get all the way into it. And I think that might speak to Wolong being a bit more approachable than Neo 2. And the combat system, for me at least, being just a bit easier to comprehend in terms of, like, not having to, I forget what the word is for it, but, like, press R1 to, like, regain my stance after I do a combo in Neo. Like, that stuff got complicated, and that was a hard hill for me to get over. Whereas during my Wolong demo, I got to the first big boss fight, and I fought that boss for, like, hours, and I had a blast doing that. And the moveset just felt a bit more straightforward in terms of understanding that and being able to get through it. So I think with that, it's going to be more approachable. And then also, Team Ninja, I assume, has learned based on the work on doing all these other games, right? Not just Neo 1 and Neo 2, but the games like Stranger of Paradise, which I know we make fun of, but, you know, it is a game that is in this lineage of the Team Ninja modern action game right now. And I think there's a lot they've learned, and I think they can take all the new ideas and put it into Wolong Fallen Dynasty, as opposed to something called Neo 3 that has these expectations to it. Pulse. Thank you, Patrick.
Star Wars Jedi Survivor. I'm going to go with the 84 here. I think that the first one didn't review glowingly because of a lot of the tech issues and things of that nature, but I feel like this one, they've had a lot of time. The trailers look dope as shit. It looks like everything that we've loved about it kind of just, like, turned up a little bit, and it just feels like it has that next gen polish that we would hope to expect with where we're at with these games. So I think it's going to do better than the first one. 84.
Yeah, this is kind of that typical sequel thing we always talk about. We're like, I can't wait to see what the next one is like. The 1.5 version of it, if you will. I'm going to say that this is an 86. I think it's going to get a shit ton of 9s and a lot of 8s.
Greg's at 83.
But for whatever reason, I think that, like, the story's going to bring it down for a lot of people. That's just my tip of the hat guess. Pizza bet.
Pieces everywhere.
Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order is at a 79 on Metacritic. And I wonder how much of that was just how the game ran, because I remember this game just did not, or Fallen Order didn't perform well at launch.
Still doesn't, some say.
Yeah, and the game was buggy, but also the game was great, right? Like, the bugs were honestly the main issue that I had when I was playing that game.
The map wasn't great.
Dude, everything
great.
looks cooler in 21.9 though.
Yeah, that's the thing, is watching this trailer. When I was at the Game Awards and I saw this trailer, I was like, damn, is this my most anticipated game for the year? Like, this shit looks fucking
Oh, I mean, it's real high.
And it might have been the aspect ratio that did it. But no, I am super excited for this one, and I do think that this one's going to be better, right? Like, again, talking about learning from your previous games, I think there are quite a few places that Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order could have been better, and Respawn is a fantastic studio, and I think they probably listened. I'm going to say 80. I'm going to say 86. Did you say 86?
I said 84.
Okay.
Yeah.
Am I the only person that says 86?
Yep.
Okay, good.
No. Andy said 86.
I say
Oh, you said 86.
Both your 86.
I'm going to say 87.
I love that.
Yeah,
I
man.
hope.
Go hard or go home.
I love
Real quick, though, I want to let you know that if you go to patreon.com/kindafunny, you don't need to hear our ads. But for everyone else, here's some ads.
This week on Patreon, the Next Gen crew of KindaFunny, myself, Barrett, Joey, and Roger, did a fantasy film draft picking which movies we think are going to be the best reviewed, and we had some wild choices.
This third one is about to pop off with one Jonathan Majors, because he's looking a
God
big,
damn
thick
it.
boy.
You guys are killing
Creed
me.
3, baby.
You guys are killing me, man.
Not even on my list.
Roger, what is your
not on your list? Dune 2. Right? Like, that's going to be a banger. We have Austin Butler.
Wasn't he like a child star in something?
Zoe 101.
Zoe 101.
Oh, my guy.
He's like the bad boy.
Yeah. My dude.
my God.
my god! Oh man, I love that dude.
Can we draft a movie DLC? Trailer.
I would like to draft an unannounced Marvel post-credit scene.
Head over to patreon.com/kindafunny to listen to this and hundreds of other exclusive episodes right now.
Now that we're back, let's go down to Resident Evil 4 Remake.
93.
Let's go.
Andy Cortez coming in hot with a 93. Greg Miller came in with a 90. This one's interesting because you think about it, right? We've had RE2 remake, RE3 remake, and like both of those fantastic, but 2's the one that got all the love. 3 got a little bit of the like, I don't know about this. But I've always said Resident Evil 2 is an incredible video game. Resident Evil 3 was a pretty damn good video game. So that remake makes sense. But Resident Evil 4 is one of the best games of all time.
Yeah.
So them remaking that, everything they've been saying, people were mad about RE3 for cutting a lot of content. They've come out and said they're not cutting content. In fact, they're adding content. And everything about it seems like what we've seen with the HBO Last of Us show of everything they're talking about. Like, they really care. They want to get this right. They know they can't screw it up. And I get that vibe from this remake as well. So I have high expectations for it. Resident Evil 4 is a game that in many, many, many ways still holds up to this day. I know Bless always talks about how the controls don't, but in terms of story, in terms of like atmosphere and all that stuff, it definitely does. And imagine that just playing better and looking better, I think it's going to be real high. But I'm going to go 92 because I think that once you start getting 93 and above, that's like real all-timer shit. But hopefully this is that.
Shit ton of 9s, shit ton of 10s, I think.
You think that's...
I mean, you're talking about Resident Evil 4.
You are.
Right? Which is a game that a lot of people would put up there as their favorite game of all time. Resident Evil 4 originally, back in the day, scored a 96 on Metacritic. And this is the PS2 page. And so I wonder if it's even higher if you look at other, like, the GameCube or something like that. Resident Evil 2, the remake, has 91. And so I think that is the range that we're working with, right? I think it's going to be somewhere between 91 and 96. I'll be blown away by. I don't think it's going to get that high just because...
I mean, that puts it in a league of, like, what, 10 games ever?
Yeah, exactly. Like I think modern day it is so hard for a game to get up there, right? Like you can release the best game ever. I don't know if it's gonna get a 96 on Metacritic. I'm gonna say 93. I think it's gonna do better than Resident Evil 2 remake. I think my prediction for myself right now is that Resident Evil 4 remake makes Resident Evil 4 one of my favorite games ever.
Oh, I'm so excited.
I think that's gonna happen.
I hope so. I really do. Next up, we're doing this one. Crime Boss, Rockay City.
63.
Guess what? Both me and Greg also got
No way.
63.
That's awesome.
What about you?
This is going to have a bunch of 4s and 5s and a couple of 6s and 7s, you know?
It'll get where it needs to get.
I
hope this game is a fun stream, you know?
I'm gonna say 68.
Oh,
I'm a little bit more hopeful.
Game of the year guy over here.
Let's go. You got Chuck Norris, you know? And Chuck Norris does things that aren't supposed to be
Terrible
fun.
dude, yeah.
Oh, is he?
I mean,
Chuck
Oh no.
Norris?
yeah, Chuck Norris, not great, yeah. I mean, you know, he's just, it's Chuck Norris. What do you expect? He's fucking,
What do you
he's
expect?
Walker, Texas Ranger, bro.
Need I say more? Dead Island 2 is the next one we're talking about here. What did Saints Row get?
Oh man.
Oof.
Because to me, I think
that was like 6s, right?
Yeah. What was Saints Row at currently on Metacritic? 61.
Danny Glover is gloves. That's right.
I'm going to 61.
Vanilla Ice is.
You think it's gonna be Saints Row bad?
I'm going 61. Greg went 72.
See, okay, me and Greg are on
You
the
think
same
it's going to be Saints Row bad is like such a fucking statement, such a question.
I was hurt by Saints Row. Like Saints Row is
Yeah.
like a personal attack on me from Volition, a studio that I love. But come on,
I'm going 74.
Wow. All right. Yeah, I think I'm on that same line of thought based on how much I loved and enjoyed Dying Light 2 and how much I personally want this game to be as good as Dying Light 2. Dying Light 2 on Metacritic has a 76 or 77, right? Depending on the platform.
All right. Maybe I'm wrong. But I'm 72.
But like this game might not be that good is the thing.
I think it gets a lot of high ratings from reviewers that like similar to in the way that we rate, in the way that we love Fast and Furious, in the way that some people love Stranger of Paradise, like Blessing, like, or they're just like, it is just pure dumb fun. Like, don't think too hard about it. The story's shitty. Who gives a shit? I give this an 8 out of 10. Like, I feel like there's going to be a lot of reviews like that.
I think that it's not going to hit there, though. Like I think that it's not going to have that the memey nature to it. With Strangers of Paradise,
That's
it's like
gross.
you watch a clip of that, and if that's your type of humor, it's the funniest thing ever. Like I just struggle to see people looking at this and be like, every moment of this is hilarious.
Yeah.
Whereas Stranger of Paradise, every moment's hilarious.
Pablo Koch in chat says this is Dying Light 2 without the parkour. So, and like I can kind of see that in terms of it being a Dying Light 2 style game that doesn't have the things that make Dying Light 2 so special, because I do think Dying Light 2 thrives because of the parkour and the navigation and like the puzzle solving with the platforming and stuff. That said, I think in terms of story, Dying Light 2 was so, it took itself so seriously and was like basically, I'd always compare it to something like CW, where it's like, oh man, this is the most cheesiest drama ever, but like at points I'm eating it up and at points I'm digging it, but ultimately I'm like, oh, it's whatever. Dead Island 2, based on that trailer, I think it was the latest trailer we got, or maybe it was one trailer before, or maybe it was both. That game seems goofy as hell. Like all the cutscenes seem really funny and really self-referential in terms of like, no, we know we're stupid. We know this is ridiculous.
I get like in the same way that people like Dead Rising for what it is, that's the crowd that this is going to cater towards.
Yeah. I hope I enjoy this game. Did I already say a number?
Yeah,
I don't think, oh,
74.
Okay, cool. Well, there you go.
About that?
Legend of Zelda. Tears of the Kingdom.
100. Write it down, Tim.
Greg said 94. I say 95.
Here's the thing.
What is Breath of the Wild at?
97. And you know what, Tim? Put me down as a 97.
Fuck!
I'm saying it.
Dude.
Let's go.
Oh, shit.
93. This game's going to suck.
Dude, I mean, it's funny because like God of War and God of War Ragnarok currently have the exact same score. And to me, I'm like, we're in that range.
That's a good call.
I think that Breath of the Wild is going to be Tears is going to be a couple down from Breath of the Wild because just...
Breath of the Wild was a moment.
Yes, and I there's the amount of people that gave it 10s. I don't know that we're going to get that amount for this one, so I think it's going to be a little bit skewed. But I mean, we're talking, all of our guesses are putting this as one of the greatest games of all time. So I'm so excited.
My 97 is honestly just me speaking into existence.
I mean,
like
hey,
if I had to
love
give an
that.
actual guess, I'd probably say 95 or 96. But keep mine as at a 97. I'm keeping that energy. I need this game to be a fucking masterpiece.
Yeah. Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League. Greg has it at a 74.
That's a good guess. Damn, that's a good guess. I'm gonna go 78.
I'm going 73.
I'm going 69.
Nice.
Marvel's Avengers on Metacritic is a 67. As soon as you said Suicide Squad, I immediately typed in Marvel's Avengers, just based on
The only reason I have it higher than that is that I think that I think people will vibe more with a shooter, pretty much. Like that's all I'm kind of. It's the only reason why I'm ranking it that high is that it's going to be whatever Avengers and whatever Gotham Knights was. But people like shooty and upgrading guns, and it's a bit more involved gameplay, I'd say.
And also on a technical standpoint, I think just looks better than either of those games.
Looks great.
And even like, we talked about the possibility of the story not hitting, but like, I don't know, the cutscenes and the vibes that they're going for in these trailers, I do think that they're pulling off in a way that doesn't feel as genuine from some of those other games. So there could be a little bit of like, oh, it's genuinely funny and has a fun cast of characters and stuff, and have more of a personality than I would say the story of Avengers does.
Here's the thing: Gotham City Imposters has a 65 on Metacritic.
That's okay,
and it's not going to be worse than that. So,
Street Fighter 6. Start with you, Bless.
Oh man, I don't know. Like, it's tough because I don't know what fighting games actually do on Metacritic. I never really checked Metacritic for fighting games.
This is like us predicting who's gonna win all the esports categories. Like, and not saying that Bless isn't Bless is definitely, he deserves to kind of be one of the reviewers and he'll have a good rating on it. But I do feel like this is gonna be a weird one because not every outlet I don't feel has like
a
their
fighting game person.
Yeah, but
I think that's when you like.
Having said that, though, like they're reviewing a video game, they're not reviewing it as an esport, and I think that is why I firmly think that this is going to get an 88.
I have 91 on mine.
Oh, I said that wrong.
Shit.
I said firmly, and I was wrong. I put 87. actually. I think that the single player stuff's going to not be good enough to look past. Like, I don't think it's going to be horrible, but I think that it's going to take down, even if the gameplay is like, yo, the community fucking loves it. Reviewing the overall package, I think it's going to have enough things in it to not hit that 90. Greg thinks it hits 90.
Wow. I'm gonna say 85.
Whoa, even lower than me. Shit.
Yeah.
Okay.
This guy hates fighting games, dude.
And I mean, honestly, Tim convinced me a little bit there about the single player stuff, because I think the single player stuff is going to be exciting for newcomers, but is it going to be a quality single player experience? And even something like Mortal Kombat 11 on Metacritic, that has an 82, right? Mortal Kombat X is somewhere around the same, and those are like the popular fighting games in the space. And granted, I think Street Fighter 6 in terms of mechanics and in terms of how it's going to play and all that stuff, I think might appeal to like the hardcore fighting game player more than Mortal Kombat. But I think the tough thing is I do think you got to hit both, right? Like, you got to be able to have very solid fighting game mechanics, but while also delivering in terms of content and delivering things that that's going to get the casual players in, right? I think got to be an overall package. That's so difficult.
Ryu in the streets, Blanca in the sheets.
Exactly. Here's the thing, right? I think in terms of a 90 or up, I think a Street Fighter 6 Ultimate Edition is going to come out 4 years from now and hit that, right? Where it has all the things that people ask for and dream for Street Fighter 6. But
and the 10 people reviewing it are going to give it the
10.
scores based on what they're reviewing.
My real prediction is that Street Fighter 6 is going to have an Ultimate Edition that's going to hit a 10. Like, from IGN, and like in the way that they update their Overwatch or Rainbow Six reviews, I think Street Fighter 6 is going to have a version of that that's going to absolutely soar.
So I'm at 87, Greg's at 90, Bless is at 85, Andy?
91.
Wow.
Whoa!
I love it.
Diablo 4.
89 on mine.
Greg's at a 93. I am at an 88.
I think there's going to be enough stuff that annoys the community to bring it down a little bit. Like, I think it's going to be exactly the Diablo that people have been wanting for a long time, especially when they got Diablo 3 and it was more colorful than they wanted. You know, I feel like this is the one, especially after the mobile game that came out, that a lot of people didn't love with how sort of predatory it was with its money. Yeah, I think this one's going to really hit.
89.
Final Fantasy 16.
Man, the number I have on here, I don't trust it already.
I gotta
Say it, Andy. Say it.
I don't want it to be on the record, Timothy. I have 93 on mine.
You're a madman. turn Tim into the Joker.
Dude, please be a 93. Oh my God, please.
I think it's gonna be a shit ton of 9s and a couple of 10s.
Whoa. Okay, Greg has it at an 82.
I feel like a truth lies somewhere in between.
Yeah, I'm going 88.
I'm going 87. I want to go lower because that thing. I wonder if they said about not putting black people in the game, but like 87, I feel pretty good about.
Man, I want
that one
this
kind of fucked me up.
I was so looking forward to this game, and then Yoshi gave a statement about like, yeah, man, I don't know, man, it's old school fantasy. I'm not gonna put black people in it. I'm like, hey, man, how are you gonna just ruin my excitement like that?
Yeah, that shit clearly fucking sucks. I really, really hope though that this is like I don't even want to say return to form. It's not that at all. I just hope that this is a brand new masterpiece of Final Fantasy. Like, this is the first new Final Fantasy, like core Final Fantasy title we've had in almost a decade. Like, it's pretty wild to think about. That might not be entirely true.
I think
but
the expectations are like
You
massively
say the last
high.
core Final Fantasy game?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think Final Fantasy 15 came out like 7 years ago.
Yeah. So it's like we're on the way to the decade there. Like
8 years ago?
that's pretty definitely the biggest gap between core Final Fantasy titles. That even includes the online titles. So there's a lot going into this. It being written by the 16 people. That's the thing that I'm really 14 people, and the music being done by them as well. Like, that's the stuff for me.
Yeah.
I'm like,
now, how many 14 nerds are going to be reviewing this?
Yeah, exactly. Like, but yeah, does it bother me that the main character looks like that and is named Clive or whatever? Yeah, that kind of sucks.
So, I mean, 7 Remake is at an 87 on Metacritic. Do we think this is going to be better?
I mean, I think there's less going into it. Like, Final Fantasy VII like has baggage. right? So I think that affects the reviews, both positively and negatively.
Yeah,
Whereas
I think the
16
story stuff kind of really turned some people off on 7. The changes and sort of the liberties they took there. What did Greg guess? 80.
So yeah, across the board now we got me at 88, Greg at 82, Bless at 87, and Andy at 93.
Pizza bet within a pizza bet. Whoever's closer, me or Greg, gets pizza.
Wow.
Yeah, all
'Cause
bet
he's
for
the
Greg.
lowest and
Yeah,
I'm the highest,
shake
yeah.
on it.
Yeah.
There you go.
Thank you, Greg.
You're welcome.
We'll skip this one, but just want to put it out there. AEW Fight Forever. Greg says 79 that I'm going to fucking love. So,
I say
79 is real high.
I say 73.
I'm saying 62.
yeah. Okay. Oh, you know what? Fuck it. We will do this one. Andy, you said what?
73.
Actually, it's 62s though. I'm gonna. What's a bad game? The same. I'm gonna type in Saints Row.
You're like 66, Bless.
You sound like Jeff Grubb when we were playing that episode of Bless Who. And the question was, name a game that Greg Miller likes. And Jeff Grubb was like, what's a bad game?
I'm
Saints
going
Row's-
69.
Saints Row 61. I'm gonna say 63 for AEW Fight Forever.
All right. Now we're getting into ones that just don't have release dates.
Let's go.
Perfect.
Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth.
I think mine's a little too high here. I'm going to drop it down 2 points. I'm going to go with 85.
I'm gonna say 91.
Oh.
I think-
Dang.
Listen, you're out of Midgard now. You're into the, or are you? I forget how the realms
Yeah.
and shit work.
Yeah, you are.
You're in the open world now. You're hanging out with Sephiroth. We're in a post-crisis core world. Oh man, they got so much to cover here.
I'm going 88 because I think that the Midgard section of the game is the best section to kind of just turn into this type of remake, and we got that experience, and it felt so good. It felt like a complete game to itself. The end, it's kind of like opened up for more stuff, but like that was such a great experience. Opening it up, I think, has more room for
More questions.
the stuff that we don't like, more questionable things. They're like, oh, this doesn't add up too much. Like, what is fact? What is fiction? all the questions they're asking us, we're going to be asking them. But
They don't know either.
but at the same time, it could hit. It could work. And if they pull it off, it could be utterly spectacular. I mean, Final Fantasy VII Remake was our game of the year a couple of years ago. So if they can take that energy and make something new, this could be the core Final Fantasy title, right? Like it could be, I expect it to be more a new game than a remake of 7. So
Is it the same Zach voice actor?
unfortunately it is.
Change mine, though.
Get me in the
Give me
booth,
lower.
bro. Get me in the booth, bro.
Maybe he'll be given different, better direction this time around. You know, Andy.
Well, that is the thing. At least
Crisis
it'll be
Core
written.
was a million years ago.
Yeah, at least this will be written with the Final Fantasy VII Remake team, which was like fantastic dialogue.
Sure.
Crisis Core. I love Crisis Core, everybody. Forza Motorsport.
I have this one at a 90.
So do I. And so
Carhead's
does
gonna
Greg.
love this shit.
Mhm.
What was the last one? 7? 7. That on Metacritic was an 86. So I'm going to go an 86.
It's gonna look prettier. The cars are gonna be louder and
We're in a
shinier.
post Horizon world. That's all I need. Get the shit out of here.
Hollow Knight Silk Song.
Oh man,
I got that on my fantasy.
I put this shit way
draft.
too high, bro.
Did you really?
Yeah, and I don't trust in it. Okay, I'm looking back at the mirror and I don't like what I see.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Man, I don't like the person I see in the mirror. I'm gonna. I don't know where I'm going with this. I'm gonna go 89.
I'm going 91.
I went 91.
I had it at 93.
Greg went 90.
Hollow Knight currently on
God.
Switch is a 90. For PC, it's on at an 87.
Andy, bring yours up to 93 again.
I'll give you the chance, Andy. You can. What's your
No.
final answer?
I'm keeping it at 89. I'm keeping it at 89.
All right.
Because I don't know if it does enough to kind of step it up as it being like this long-awaited sequel. I think if it would have come out back when everybody thought it was going to come out, it would have been amazing and people would have absolutely loved it. But I feel like with how long it's taken, people are expecting like the next coming of Christ, and I think it's going to be more Hollow Knight.
Like
and
Sports Story.
And I hate using the more of this and that game. I hate using like it's just going to be more Hollow Knight, but I do think it is going to be that. It's going to be a better version of what we get from Yacht Club when they come out with King Knight and when they came out with Plague Knight. I feel it's going to be a better version than that. It's going to be similar look and feel, tone, vibe, but different mechanics.
That's interesting. I do think that something going for it is that when Hollow Knight first came out, and even like the years surrounding that, there was a lot of these Metroidvania games, right? A lot of the super stylistic, beautiful to look at things like Ori and to an extent Celeste. That's a different type of game, but like those type of things. I think that trend's kind of slowed down for whatever reason. So if this game hits at the right moment this year, it won't be surrounded by a ton of similar games that I think people might be like, oh wow, like I haven't experienced something like this for a while. But
I do think that Hollow Knight has had this sort of this Souls-like discovery to it, where people are continuing to start to play it for the first time. As more and more years goes by, and as time goes by, they keep like newer players are joining. Sort of the reason why they're becoming me, what I was last year when I was like, I finally get it now. I understand why y'all have been asking for Silksong for so long. And I think more and more people are going to get it and have less time to wait. And they're going to get a really, really dope sequel.
Redfall.
This one's tough.
This is real tough.
Greg's at an 82.
Good for him.
I'm at a 76.
Wow. How dare you.
Wow.
I like 82, good for him because that's high. 76, how dare you, too low.
This one's really, really tough. I'm at an 83 with Redfall. I think it's going to feel good as shit to play, right? Like abilities and everything. It's going to have what we enjoyed from games like Deathloop. But I do think what's going to hold it back is like finding friends to play it with and going through single player, even though a lot of these games are like, a lot of these games go through it with single player. You could play single player too if you don't have friends, but I feel like that would definitely lessen.
And then there's also the progression problem as well, where your world won't progress if you're helping out in someone else's game and stuff like that people have been kind of talking about in the community. I know Paris brings it up all the time on Xcast.
And there's no level
scaling,
right? I don't think there is.
I'm going to say 84.
Bless, what does Prey have on Metacritic?
That's actually what I looked up. Prey has a 82 on PC, 79 on PS4. But if you remember, like that game didn't perform well at the time, right? At launch, it had some issues.
Bless, can you do me a favor? Can you look up the Metacritic scores for Bleeding Edge?
How fucking dare you, Tim? How dare you invoke Bleeding Edge?
Are you kidding
in
me?
regards to Redfall? Do you know who you're talking about? Arcane Austin. All right, they're not. They don't have. How fucking dare you?
What'd it get though?
I got a 66.
Oh shit. Okay, that's I'm happy.
No, Bleeding Edge was not great.
I'm happy with my 76. I'm happy with my 76.
You better be.
Why would you even invoke that here?
It's Arcane Austin. They haven't put out a game since Prey, and Prey was really great, underappreciated. Deathloop had an 88. Is this gonna be Deathloop? Probably not. Still, they got the stuff. I believe in them. Borderlands had an 83. That's another one I looked up for this.
That's a good one to look up.
Yeah.
Starfield.
Oh, let's fucking go. What did Fallout 3 get?
Do you want me to start by telling you what Greg put?
Daddy-o.
Greg put an 80.
How dare he? Wow. How dare he?
Oh,
Fallout
man.
4 got an 84. And he's saying an 80 for Starfield.
I mean, different context, different time.
Different context, different time, but enough lessons learned. I'm going to go 87.
That's within the realm that I'm thinking.
This will be a banger to some and really, really good to a lot.
Going through history, Skyrim got a 94 on Metacritic. Fallout 4 got an 84 on Metacritic. Fallout 3 got a 91 on Metacritic on PC. So you're talking about like 91, 96, 84. Was it 84 in that order? Yeah, 84.
And can they evolve the formula enough to keep us happy? For us to say like, wow, this is just a prettier version of an early 2000s game or a mid 2000s game.
Oshimbo in the chat says No Man's Sky has a 71 on PS4.
Oshimbo, I need you to time yourself out. All right. I'm going to say an 88. I'm going to say an 88.
Andy?
That's really high, and I'm so excited.
I almost went higher, man.
Like, I mean, the fact that you can't play at 30 or 60 frames per second on console is really not great.
But
But
think about all that's in this game. You
Play
know?
on PC,
Like
dude.
how could it even do that?
like, I guess the best thing about that, Bless, is like you want
is
to.
that
Yeah,
real?
there's like you don't
Is
need
that real?
that many.
Can you not play in 60 frames in this? In
It's
Starfield?
locked to 30 on consoles. I heard.
Oh,
Isn't that a thing? Is that not a thing?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Look it up.
I mean, if that's the case, just think about like
I'm pretty sure it is.
they're ray tracing all of space. You know, think about how much work that is on the CPUs.
I'm just thinking of like how much
the
more of an
GPUs.
active shooter it's gonna be when you're going into.
I don't like how you said
combat.
active.
Yeah, that was a poor choice of wording. Yeah.
The tone you said it into.
But you know what? Like in the comparison to Fallout, right, where you have VATS and stuff like that, like it doesn't seem like there is a system like that, right? And so the fact
Is
that
the
you're
shooting going to actually feel good in action?
yeah, especially in 30 and stuff like that, that's so weird.
Sorry. My mistake. 30 frames for 4K, 60 for 720 to 1080 on Series S.
Can you imagine playing
720?
720?
Bro.
But I have a 1080 monitor, so that actually works perfectly. I'm in.
See, my question with Andy, you're talking about lessons learned. Like, I wonder when they started learning those lessons in the middle of the production of this game.
I think
Like, where
because
in the timeline.
I think because it's been in production for so long. We're talking lessons learned around Fallout 76. Let's say a year into Fallout 76. That's what, 2018, 2019?
2019 about.
Yeah. And I don't think that when I say lessons learned, I don't necessarily mean like improving the core gameplay loop. I just mean functionality. What works, what doesn't work. How can we make this game not run and be a embarrassing buggy mess at launch? Because I think developers learned enough with Andromeda, and then Cyberpunk came out and was even more of an embarrassing launch. And I think that like
Anthem.
oh my gosh, Anthem. Make that a single player game, dude. Tim, if I go back in time and I
Mass
wave my
Andromeda.
fucking game dev wand, make that shit a single player game.
I don't know, man. I would hope that the combat in this game is going to be better than what Bethesda combat typically has been because of both lessons learned, because of new technology, right? You're rocking with an Xbox Series X as opposed to an Xbox 360. Higher frame rate. You know, I think 60 frames per second at 1080 is going to hopefully feel good for a first person shooting. And then also looking at other examples, like something like Cyberpunk. I actually really dug the combat in Cyberpunk, and I know it's a different developer and like different ethos and all that stuff, but also Outer Worlds had pretty decent combat. I would think that you'd be able to do it as Bethesda, given all of the leaps that we've made in terms of the actual technology that we're working with.
And it's super encouraging from my taste, at least, that the game looks as good as it does, even though it started development such a long time ago, and usually that leads to a game looking outdated at launch. And whether that's like the tech or whether that's just the aesthetics that they're going for, but like I've never liked the way any of the Fallout games look.
Yeah.
Even though maybe you can make them better, performing, they still have like a certain look to them that I just don't find like inviting, you know?
So Greg's at an 80. Bless is at an 88. I'm at an 84. I was between 84 and 86. And I think at the end of the day, it's going to be on the lower side.
Okay.
What do you think, Andy?
I said 87.
87. Cool. Marvel's Spider-Man 2.
Oh, man, I didn't even put anything down here.
Greg said 90. I'm going 88. But I'm telling you right now, it's going to be a 10. And I think it's going to be a 10 in the, like...
It's going to be
like, being on, like, think back to
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man 2018. Yes? 2018.
2018, yeah.
Is one of my favorite games ever. Is it perfect? No. Is it a 10? No. But I mean, like, goddamn, I enjoy the hell out of that game more than pretty much any other game ever. Like, it is just so much fun to play and be in that world. And there's so much I love about it that even the things I don't love as much, the Mary Jane sequences, some of the story choices, like this and that, whatever, it's still like, damn, this is as good as a Spider-Man game can be. And I expect that this one is going to be better. But
Yeah.
I think review-wise and critically, Fair? I'll give it 88.
And I think I'm in a very similar place. I remember there was a few weeks ago where we were talking about how Spider-Man 2 is going to do on Metacritic, and like, you know, I made the argument that I don't think the Metacritic matters for Spider-Man because it is like, I don't think Insomniac is trying to put out a God of War critically acclaimed 96 on Metacritic type of game with Spider-Man. I think they're trying to put out one of the most fun games you're going to play on the PlayStation.
That's gonna sell so much.
And that's going to sell
my
buttloads. And I'm with you that like Spider-Man 2018 for me is one of my favorite games probably ever, right? Especially when you're talking about PlayStation games or PS4 games. I think it's interesting because Spider-Man for PS4 has an 87 on Metacritic. Spider-Man Miles Morales has an 84 on Metacritic. I think scope-wise, Spider-Man 2 is going to be bigger than Spider-Man Miles Morales, right? And I think Miles Morales probably got dinged for its brevity, right? And how short that story was, and like some people, me, felt like it was a bit rushed. So I think it's going to get higher than that. I think the question is it going to do more than Spider-Man 2018? And that's where things get tough. Because
It does, yeah.
how much more can you do? You can get rid of the Mary Jane sections. You can get rid of maybe like the science puzzles sections. And like, I think there were parts in Act 3 of that game that got a bit messy in terms of storytelling and introducing the Sinister Six and all that stuff.
Yeah, the pacing in the last third goes at like a breakneck speed.
Yeah.
When you're suddenly in a city that's been taken hostage, like that just a lot of that felt
That's
really
a
off
lot.
to me. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, where it like really ups the like kind of open world design of like here are all of these areas to take out now.
Yeah.
Here's another thing I'll say is that Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart was an 88.
An 80?
88. Insomniac might be peaking
King of
out.
the 88s, dude.
They might be
King
peaking
of
out
the
at the 88 range.
88s that are like, let's be real, they're better than that, but critically they're not.
Yeah.
But like, let's be real.
Our
they're
favorite
better.
88s.
Yeah.
80 for Brady.
I'm gonna say 88 as well.
Andy?
What was yours, Tim?
88.
Greg?
90.
86.
Wow.
Sucks.
86.
Game
Wow.
sucks.
I mean, the inclusion of Venom, I do think is a like easy thing to fuck up. So,
Don't forget Kraven the Hunter.
A lot of it is like I don't know what you can do with variety to really freshen up that experience. Like more power to them if they do it. I'm rooting for them. Obviously, I want it to be a lot more fun when you're out there in the open world, but I just wonder if it's going to be
You know what? Is it too late for me to change?
a lot of the same
No, go
taken
for it.
down.
I'm bringing mine down to an 86.
I think they're gonna find some fun things to switch between Peter and Miles, like tech wise, that I think is gonna impress people. And then also, yeah, you got Venom, but you also got Green Goblin, possibly with the teases from the first game. And yeah, Kraven is another weird toss up. But if those are like the only three villains and not the entire Sinister Six, there might be a little bit better focusing on story stuff.
okay, we have like four more that I want to do.
I'll
here.
tell you what, I'm craving. This next
Armored Core.
from software game.
Armored Core 6. Where are we at with this one? Greg Miller coming in with a spicy 81.
I'm not too far off. I'm gonna go 84.
Yeah,
I'm
feeling
at
that.
83.
Yeah.
Armored Core is going through, typically haven't done that great on Metacritic. This is, of course, a new era for From Software, right? This is post Souls, post Elden Ring, post Sekiro.
Alone.
Malone.
Sorry. What would you say, Bless?
I've not figured it out yet.
Okay,
Thinking through it.
I
Andy?
said 84.
Talk to me, Bless. Where you at?
I'm just looking through. I'm looking through the entire Armored Core franchise right now to see has there been any. Oh my god.
And to be real with you, I think the game gets a lot of 9s and 10s, or a lot of 9s rather, out of 10s because of the FromSoft name and because what they're going to do with boss fights and kind of make them a bit more involved. But at the end of the day, it's going to be a mech game, and it's going to really, really hinge on how good is the combat. That's where this game's going to like either completely succeed or just fail.
I think it's also going to be like a lot of customization, a lot of like stats, a lot of like getting into the nitty gritty of customizing your mech and all that stuff, and going through Armored Core 2 for PS2, 78 on Metacritic, Armored Core 3, 74, Armored Core 4, 65, Armored Core 5, 65, right? Like, and these are games that I think are very much speaking to a niche audience, and maybe this probably won't affect reviews, but who knows? Like, I could see a lot of people coming into Armored Core and being like, "Oh yeah, I'm a From Software fan. I played Souls, I played Elden Ring," and they try out Armored Core and they're like, "Whoa, this is not what I was looking forward to from this developer. This is so different. This is so nerdy." I'm as a review outlet, right? You're assigning people to this game with the understanding that they know what they're reviewing and they are going to be an Armored Core person to some extent, or at least have enough knowledge to be able to review it competently. But how hard is it to develop a mech game? Like a fantastic mech. Like, what is the best mech game? And how much? Like, where was that on Metacritic?
Zone of the Enders, the second runner, and I don't.
And that's my thing. Is like, is there
Legit, that game was great.
Is there a mech game above an 85 on Metacritic?
Probably Zone
Is
of
this
the
going to be
Enders.
the first one? Wait, Zone of the Enders like legit?
Second runner.
I also think because of how kind of I don't want to say basic, but for the lack of a better word, basic. The idea of it being sort of like old school mission based structure, just like the old Armored Cores were. You know, like you're not necessarily experiencing this big campaign that it's gonna go like cutscene to cutscene. Like the idea that you go back to a mission list and you pass that mission and you maybe got some parts to upgrade your mech onto the next mission. Like that feels kind of arcadey and archaic in a lot of ways. And I think that will sit with people not too great. Like that feels like a very kind of old school approach to game design.
This is a funny thing, but I said 83, and I think that because it's Armored Core 6. If it was just Armored Core, a brand new reboot, I think it would be 86.
And see, that's where I'm at. It's like, this is Armored Core 6.
But
right?
also
Not
it's
a
called
brand new
Fires
reboot.
of Rubicon. That's
Which,
cool.
That
like,
is
come
pretty
the
cool.
fuck, you're right.
That
That's
is
pretty
cool.
badass.
So where you at, Bless?
So Zone of the Enders PS2 78, Zone of the Enders the second runner 71, which
That's
is
some bullshit.
I mean, it's higher than the original Armored
That's
Core
some
games.
bullshit.
That's fucking bullshit, dude.
Somebody in chat
There's
mentioned
no way that's right.
Somebody in chat mentioned Titanfall, right? Which like I wouldn't really count because it's a first-person shooter where you happen
Yeah.
to get into mechs. I'm going into this with the idea that this is going to be the best mech game of all time. 84.
They wouldn't want to. On the opposite side,
Yeah.
on the opposite side of things, right? I've already talked about all the reasons why I don't think it's going to be like this 10 out of 10 game of the year, or even like a game that's going to be amazings all across the board. On the opposite side of things, I don't think From Software would want to make this game if they didn't think it was going to be amazing. In the same sort of way that we talk about Last of Us Part 2 and how Neil Druckmann was like, there's more story to tell, and you're like, well, fuck. If he says that there's more story to tell, this dude could make any game that he wants right now. The fact that he wants to make a Part 2 to one of the best games of all time, fucking let him. I bet you it's going to be pretty damn good, and it really, really was. I don't know if From Software takes on this challenge unless it's like something they know that they're going to knock out of the park. Like
Yeah,
they
that's
could
a
have
good
made
point.
they could have made Sekiro 2. This is the same director who directed on Sekiro, which was originally supposed to be a Tenchu game. And like they could have just made another Sekiro style game, but the fact that they know that like, no, we're going to go back to our roots because we have something to really show off here.
I will never forgive Edge Magazine for giving Zone of the Enders the second runner a 40 out of 100, tanking its Metacritic score.
wow.
This is some
Damn,
bullshit,
damn.
y'all.
Got to the bottom of it.
Bullshit. That game was fucking awesome. So
I
final
think-
bet.
Final, I'm going to say 84. I think it's going to get a lot of 8s and 9s.
Assassin's Creed Mirage.
What? I mean, I don't even know anything. Like, I don't know.
It's the single player one. It's
Yeah.
them going back, smaller scale.
We just haven't seen anything outside of like
Yeah.
cutscenes.
What did Assassin's Creed Syndicate get on Metacritic? A 76.
Not
Yeah.
high enough.
Yeah, I think that it's going to be around there. I'm going 78 on this one. Greg's at a 79.
Barrett, was there an Assassin's Creed after Syndicate? Was that Origin?
That was Origins. That was the
Okay.
first big open world one. But this is going back. See, I would say
I'm going 80.
like I would start looking at more of like in the Black Flag, Assassin's Creed 3 era of scores there, because I think the way that they're talking about this one, it feels like it's going to be even smaller than like Syndicate became, you know, because even though Syndicate was more of the classical school, like the open world definitely became a bit bigger and more dense, where I feel like they're going to start looking more at the designs that they had for the older games.
So Assassin's Creed 4, which a lot of people will put up there as one of the best Assassin's Creed games ever.
Yeah.
83 on Metacritic.
think it
for
could hit
PS4.
that. I think it could hit that.
See, I don't. I based off of current Ubisoft and like this game starting off as an expansion for Valhalla and then turning it into its own thing.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's gonna be that special of a game. Like I think this is gonna be like.
I would argue the opposite, where if they were thinking of this as an expansion for Valhalla at first, and then maybe had a moment where they're like, oh, this could be its own game. Like they might have had that moment where like, no, this is actually something more special than just an expansion for Valhalla. And the reason that they did that was because the main character is someone who, money. But also the idea for why it was an expansion at first was because the main character in Mirage is a character that was introduced in Valhalla. So
Devil May Cry was originally Resident Evil 4.
wow.
I also don't know why I feel like in sort of like this hindsight 2020 thing, I feel like if Metacritic existed back then and if we had this sort of same review mantra that we do that we have nowadays, I feel like Black Flag would have scored a lot higher back then. So I don't really trust that Black Flag score. I feel like the way it's talked about now, the way everybody talks about how Black Flag is the best Assassin's Creed, I feel like it's a higher rating than what, an 84, you said?
Yeah, 84, yeah.
I mean, it was essentially like the best next-gen launch title. So I think that's another thing people remember fond memories of the game because it was tied to the PS4 and Xbox One.
Yeah, I'm going to say this gets a 79.
I'm going to say 77.
I think it's going to have like 90% 8 out of 10s, and the rest of it like a couple 7s and a couple 9s.
I think it's also likely that it just doesn't come out because Ubisoft doesn't like putting out games.
Yeah,
that's true.
I mean, that's another. Yeah.
Well, next up, we're going to talk about Avatar Frontiers of Pandora.
Man,
Another Ubisoft game.
I'm,
We don't know shit. This one's a hard one to talk about, but like, I don't.
It'll be out by the time we meet the Fire Tribes in part 3.
I hope it's good. I think it has a chance of being good. Pandora's a dope ass world. You can not like the movie or whatever, but like the idea of flying around that world's cool. But did Horizon already do it? You know what I mean? Like just having
And
that
would
kind
this
of
movie
like
as good
that.
as
It's not going to be as good as Horizon. I don't think.
Can we agree that there's like 0 chances comes out in 2023?
No, I think it does.
I just feel like the fact that we haven't seen anything.
I imagine there's been like issues and like look. We've talked about it a million times.
Yeah.
What the fuck is Ubisoft?
what's going on at
You know,
Ubisoft?
what's happening? What are they? What is happening?
I'll start checking up on my friends at Ubisoft.
At some point, I do think that like the fiscal quarters and with Skull and Bones being moved and stuff. I think that they're just in a shuffle spot right now. That they're like, hey, let's just figure this out.
Because Ubisoft is like ride or die E3. I can't imagine the game coming out or the game showing off at E3 and then coming out a couple months later. That seems like impossible to me.
I mean, I think this game's further along than.
Yeah, I think it's further along, and I think it's just a lot smaller scale, right? That is like it's not going to take them that much time. Remember, Assassin's Creed used to be annualized, and I think it was like
You think Avatar is a smaller
or
scale?
slower. No, sorry, I'm thinking of Assassin's Creed Mirage. For
Yeah.
some reason.
No.
Sorry.
Yeah, I think Avatar's gonna be a pretty big scale, but
That's going to be like the Star Wars scale, sort of.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if it's gonna be Star Wars
yeah, I think
scale.
a little under that, but like, I mean, more close to that.
If
than
I'm
Mirage.
James Cameron, I was like, this like no game made after my fucking movie like is gonna come out and be a 7 out of 10. This
Well,
game,
except that mobile game. Remember we saw that shit?
Was that Battle Royale?
Yeah. I think that Frontiers of Pandora has a chance to be a surprise. But even having said that, like
82.
Greg's at a 76. I'm gonna go 84.
I'm going 80.
82.
Because like what you were saying, Andy, earlier about something.
I was saying a lot of bullshit. Yeah.
You were saying that it's just fun to shoot things. Talking about Suicide Squad,
Sure.
right? It's like just being a shooter means it's going to be good enough. I think that Avatar. Here's what I want to do. I take back my vote.
I take back what I
Take it
said,
back.
Barry.
What Outriders get?
A bunch of like high 7s, low 80s.
73.
Really?
Yeah.
Damn.
God, that game's so much more fun. The reviews are crazy. They Zone to the Endered this.
Wow, yeah, that throws me off. You know what? I stand with where I was. 84.
Outriders fucking rules. I will
84
say
is too high. What am I?
Outriders,
What am I smoking? 81.
Outriders has like the Stranger of Paradise dialogue thing going on, but that game is so much fun.
You know, bring me down to a 79. I feel like I'm envisioning the Avatar Frontiers of Pandora Metacritic page. And it's hard for me to like envision
You see the
that.
yellow.
I can't. Yeah. Like I can't put green there for some reason. That doesn't seem green to me. I get yellow vibes. I think a yellow is actually
Fuck it. I'm committing. I'm sticking 84.
You're like a fucking like a psychic reader. Like they're like, I'm not seeing greens. I'm seeing yellows.
I'm seeing yellows on the
I'm
Avatar
just saying
page.
is that the Avatar game that I pulled up, which is James Cameron's Avatar the game
Different time.
on PS3.
on PS3 is a 59, and that was developed by Ubisoft.
Different time. But
Why do you think
lessons
Ubisoft
learned.
so much?
Lessons learned.
Lessons learned, everybody. Final game, Lies of P.
Oh man, this is a tough one.
It is.
90.
I hope.
I'm going with the shocker here. I'm going with the big old shocker, 76.
Wow,
I
you think
think
it's gonna be
I think this game is going to, and this is me like, again, just setting my expectations super low in hopes that it blows me away. But I feel like it's going to come out and be like a lot of other really, really, really pretty Souls-likes that we've seen trailers for before and go, holy shit, this is the next coming of Christ. I think of Mortal Shell, which looked so impressive, and it came out and was like, that's fine, 7 out of 10. And I feel like this game's going to have a lot of those vibes.
See, Mortal Shell is the exact place I went with it, and then also games like The Surge, right? And The Surge, Metacritic 73. Mortal Shell, Metacritic 76. Liza P for me has the secret sauce, which is Pinocchio.
Right.
I love how you started laughing before you even said it.
No, it was a tough one to get out. But like, come on, man.
Jiminy
Come
Cricket's
on,
in the
man.
game.
They got Jiminy Cricket, and he's probably gonna be fucked up somehow. They got Geppetto. I assume that's Geppetto.
Yeah, it's
my
Geppetto,
guy.
yeah.
Come on, man. Like he's gonna tell a lie. His nose is gonna
I
grow.
like
This game's
how
gonna be a
your
fucking
argument
masterpiece.
for this game is literally just your
story.
your Michael Cera impression.
Yeah, like,
come on, man.
Come on, hey man.
I'm dead and I'm in space.
Hey man, they got
Andy, you
they
missed
got Geppetto in the game.
Blessing do an impression of Michael Cera as
Michael said.
Isaac Clarke from Dead Space, and it was literally just, oh man, I'm dead and I'm in space.
This game just looks sick as hell, and I
I
want it to be
know.
sick as hell.
Yeah,
I mean,
I'm
yeah,
going
looks amazing.
77.
You're fighting automatons.
Where are you going, Bless?
I'm going 86.
Oh,
I'm going
you
86.
spicy
Wow.
little
I think it's
bitch.
gonna be
I mean, I
great.
love that.
Look at this boss right here.
Yeah,
look at how
this
he's
looks
moving
amazing.
and how his hands are spinning and shit.
Oh, wait, how
And
good is
just the
Nier
beautiful
Automata?
art
It does look like
direction,
Nier
man.
Automata.
God.
Yeah, the fidelity on this, looking at every trailer I've seen, it really does remind me of how wowed I get when I see the Atomic Hearts trailer or Atomic Heart trailer.
Yeah.
Like, it has that level of...
This could be a thing.
Yeah, this is like the latest version of this. I think it's running actually on Unreal Engine 4, and it kind of reminded me a lot of Callisto Protocol running on Unreal Engine 4, where it's like the last bastion of this engine. We are
Squeezing it
fucking
all
using
out.
every piece of juice, every little bit of pulp.
Remember when Mortal Shell tried to make deep action game a thing? This is a deep action RPG. Trying to like use that instead of Souls like.
Really? I don't remember
Yeah.
that. I don't remember.
Yeah. Let us know in the comments
deep
below.
action.
Do you remember that? Also, let us know if you thought that we were spot on or completely off about any of these guesses. Let your Metacritic predictions be known. I want to see all of them.
I'm
like
gonna
I
argue
said,
with all y'all.
Yeah. We'll take you all on, as Optimus Prime would say. He also says, let them come, which I appreciate.
Let them come.
So, this has been fun. We're about to shoot a Kind of Feudy.
We are.
So you guys can go over to patreon.com/kindoffunny to see that. Who's the reigning champ, everybody? I'm the reigning champ. Am I going to continue that reign? I hope that I will. But we'll have to wait and see. Snowbike Mike will be joining us for this one.
God.
It's going to be a lot of fun. But anyways, we are... 1 second, everybody. Let me do some secret stuff. Well, guess what? If you're watching this, non-Patreon people, we're going to give you a little hint at what you're missing with Kind of Feudy. We're going to give you an episode of Kind of Feudy right now.
Yo, what's up? You just finished listening to the Kinda Funny Gamescast, but to end this episode, we want to do something special. Over on patreon.com/kindoffunny, we have a show called Kind of Feudy, where I'm joined by Greg, Tim, and Andy, and I challenge them to trivia, where the answers are dictated by the audience. Just for this week, we want to give you guys a free episode to listen to. If you want to check out more episodes of Kind of Feudy, along with a bunch of more Patreon content, you can head to patreon.com/kindoffunny and say that Blessing sent you. Enjoy, and until next time, it's been our pleasure to serve you. Duty, the original trivia game, now trivia show hosted by yours truly. I'm joined today by Tim, Andy, and Greg. Contestants, are you ready?
Yeah, I would say that I'm ready, but first I just want to give a shout out. Look how good Greg Miller looks.
He looks
in this
great.
Long sleeve shirt, it's fantastic. You can get that at kindafunny.com/store. The new X-Cast long sleeve. What's emblazoning your arm, Greg?
Those are X's for Xcast. KFX,
Oh,
KFX, KFX,
so cool.
KFX.
Cool.
Yeah,
Of
he's
course,
doing
Kind of
it.
Beauty.
He's drinking out of the championship. He's doing it.
Whoa!
It's not waterproof. The base is not waterproof.
It just pours out everywhere.
Jesus,
I love the commitment so much.
It tastes like a little bit of soap because I watched
also
it a
love
while ago.
the smell of an energy drink. It's
Oh.
like such a what is
The
that smell?
Rockstar Energy smell, it's kind of like fumes.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah. But what is it that causes the smell? Is it the
Guarine,
caffeine?
quinine.
That's what it is. Yeah, guarine.
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 Yeah.
Guardian sounds like a Pokemon.
Carnitine.
Sounds like a water Pokemon.
Which one? Me? I need to talk to the mic more. I've been fucking up.
Noob.
Tim's talking to Mike. Tim's
God, how much is in the base? You're gonna have to unscrew. It's gonna be so
There's some stuff.
sticky.
Yeah, you're gonna have to watch this thing thoroughly. It's gonna be really unfortunate.
It
It looks like Gate Grell.
If anybody else wins today, it's gonna be unfortunate for you.
King Grill's a
Remember
great
King
pull. That's a great pull. He's the vampire. He was a vampire wrestler, bless. Back in the day with
he,
the brood.
he was a vampire that wrestled.
He was a yeah.
And people say wrestling isn't real.
Dude, you know
on.
how there's a lot of the Japanese wrestlers that do the venom where they like
Yeah.
spit out the poison at people.
Yeah.
Recently, I don't remember exactly the details of this, but Shinsuke Nakamura from WWE went to do some Japan show with an icon over there that I'm unfamiliar with, and the icon is known for doing the whole spitting out the
Green mist.
the mist, right? And Shinsuke locks up with him, sucks it out of his mouth, and then spits it back at him.
Oh.
And I'm like, it's pretty fucking cool,
That's
man.
cool.
That's really cool.
Yo, y'all
That's
just
cool.
kissing.
They were kissing. They made it look good too.
Yeah.
But he sucked that shit out and spit it back. I was like, oh man, that was commitment.
That's awesome.
And you know what,
COVID.
guys? Worth the gift. Totally worth it.
Well, there you go. Of course, Kind of Funny. The rules are simple. I've surveyed over 1,200 members of the Kind of Funny audience on a number of prompts. Each round, I'm going to read you a prompt and will ask each of you which answer you think the Kind of Funny best friends gave the most. I've narrowed down to 5 answers per prompt. If you give a correct answer, the more popular the answer, the more points you'll receive. For example, I might ask you to name an incredible open world RPG. If Greg says Skyrim and it's number 1, that'll net him 50 points. If Tim says The Witcher and that's number 2, that'll net him 40 points. If Andy says Fallout 3 and that's number 3,
I would never.
that'll net him 30 points, and so on and so forth. It's round robin. Each player will get a max of 2 guesses per round. Last place goes first after the first round. Whoever gets the most points after 5 rounds wins. Contestants, are you ready?
Yeah.
I'm ready.
Andy, how does it feel to have that trophy in front of you for the first
Stole
time?
it from me.
It feels great. Yeah. I mean, I knew Pusha T, so
I mean, that's all you need to know.
got that one last week.
Greg knew Nicki Minaj. That
A
was
lot of people argue it shouldn't have been defended since that wasn't a games kind of feudy, you know?
I think you were the one who said you wanted to defend it. Despite it.
And then at the end of it, you try to gaslight it, saying that you won. Like at the end of it, I was
so
like,
close.
I was like, damn.
so close to getting away with it.
I was like, Greg won. That sucks. And then like,
Oh,
I think it was Blessing and maybe Kevin because I don't think Barrett was running it. And they were like, wait,
Yeah.
no, did
I was like, wait a
think-
second, this isn't right. And like we look back at the score.
Because I was like,
no.
how did Greg win? That's crazy. But I'd accepted it, and
Yeah.
it wasn't real.
This is our
That's
life.
crazy.
All right, round 1. Name a game that would pop up if you Googled female protagonist. Name a game that would pop up if you Google searched female protagonist. For this one, I will accept franchise names. We're going to start off with the current champion, Andy Cortez.
Tomb Raider.
Andy says Tomb Raider. Tomb Raider is our number 1 answer. That's going to get you 50 points. Next up, Tim Geddes.
Horizon.
Tim says
That's a
Horizon.
great answer.
Yeah.
That is our second most popular answer. That's going to
Wowee.
get you 40 points.
Wowie.
Greg Miller.
Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
Greg says Assassin's Creed Odyssey. That is not on the list.
If I would have said Assassin's Creed, you would have given it to me, though, right?
No.
I wouldn't have known.
Oh, shit, okay.
There's
Wow.
no Assassin's Creed on the list.
Oh, okay. Well,
And we're back to Andy.
real deep roster, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really tough. It's really tough. Well, this is gonna be a weird one. Mirror's Edge.
Andy says Mirror's Edge. Mirror's Edge is not on the list.
Damn it.
Tim Geddes.
How much fire am I trying to put
Oni.
in right now? I'm gonna go with The Last of Us.
Ah, that's
Oh,
a good
it's
answer.
Good answer.
Tim says The Last of Us. I'm going to give it to you at 20 points. Last is part 2.
Good job.
Yeah.
Great job.
Thank you.
Next up, Greg Miller. We have 2 options left, our 30-point option and our 10-point option.
I feel like this is gonna be one of those I'm gonna miss, and then you'll give it to us, and we're all gonna go, "Oh, that's good. That was great. That's great."
Do it.
Greg's our final guess for this one.
Shoot it.
Shoot your shot.
Life is strange.
Greg says Life is Strange. Life is Strange is not on
Damn,
the
that was
list.
a good one though.
Very good
Can I
guess.
guess one? My
Go for it.
the fiery, spicy one I was gonna say because it's like accurate, but I'm not sure. Final Fantasy.
Final Fantasy not on the list.
Damn.
Was Portal on the list?
Portal was not on the list. This is a tough one. There's a lot of options for this one. At 30 points, you would have guessed Metroid.
Oh, fucking
yeah.
excellent
Jesus.
answer.
Yeah,
straightforward
Spoiler.
one.
Jesus.
At 10 points, Bayonetta.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah.
Bay of Forgetta is what I said.
Whoa.
That's what I said during the Game Awards. Y'all should have been there, man. That
Yeah,
was
that's crazy.
crazy.
With that, Andy got 50 points with Tomb Raider. Tim got 40 points with Horizon. Tim also got 20 points with The Last is Part 2. Barrett, what's the score?
Oh yeah.
Currently
dude, I'll take it.
in third place is the man who tried to steal the win last time is Greg Miller with 0 points.
Stop the steal, dude.
In second place is the solid as always Andy Cortez with 50 points.
Like a rock.
Solid as a rock. They were playing in my grocery store the other day.
Wow.
And then in first place out of the first round is Tim motherfucking Geddes with 60 points.
I can't believe you dox us like that.
What, that I go to a grocery store?
Everybody knows that one grocery store plays like a rock. They're known
It was
for.
a radio
That
station.
they're known for.
Oh, like a rock groceries.
Round number 2. Name a game franchise that Blessing Adeoye Jr. loves. Name a game franchise
this.
that Blessing Adeoye Jr. loves. We're going to start off with Greg Miller.
God damn it.
See how much he listens. This is basically
Donkey
like,
Kong.
Ah, damn it.
Greg says Donkey Kong. Donkey Kong is the 10-point answer.
Wow, that sucks. That shit. Fucking brick town. You know?
Next up, Andy Cortez.
Sekiro.
Andy says Sekiro. Sekiro is not on the list.
Fucking what?
Next up, we got Tim fucking Geddes.
Sonic the Hedgehog.
Tim
Damn.
says Sonic the Hedgehog. Sonic is our 50-point answer.
This fucking guy might win one, dude.
Yes.
He's on fire currently. Woo! Next up,
What was the question again?
A franchise blessing. line.
we're back to Greg. Name a game franchise that Blessing Adeoye Jr. loves.
I'm torn by 2 game franchises I also think could not even be on the list. Yeah, there are definitely games you like. You know what I mean? That you love even.
Loves him.
I'm going to say FIFA.
Greg says FIFA. FIFA, not on the list.
I like where your head was at there, though. You really
Come
know.
back to me the other one. When
We're
it's all
back-
done.
We're back to Andy.
It's the wording, but I'm going to say it anyway. Bloodborne.
Andy says Bloodborne. Bloodborne is not on the list.
What? Who?
that a franchise?
How? What? But that's like, I mean, it's just wording. Like, whenever people were like, what's Tim's favorite game? And like, people just like entered in the things that he played recently instead of the stuff he thought that would have been on the list. You know what I mean? How?
Ow.
Every
How
game that gets mentioned on Gamescast, me and Blessing go, it's not as good as a Souls or a Bloodborne game or a Sekiro game, you know?
Tim, you're our final answer.
Now here's the thing. I don't necessarily associate the franchise with you, but I know that your number 1 game of all time is Breath of the Wild. So I'm going to say Zelda.
Tim says Zelda. Zelda is not on the list.
I was torn. I wanted to say Guilty Gear.
Guilty are also not on the list.
But
But
are you for Andy's line of reasoning? Are you doing like a Soulsborne? Is there?
there wasn't any Soulsy thing.
Okay,
on it.
okay.
But I will say more people wrote in with Dark Souls than they did either GTA or Metal Gear, which pissed me off. I'm like, y'all don't know me because I never played. I'm not beating a Dark Souls game. Right, I'm not like a big Dark Souls person. I do love Bloodborne. I do love Sekiro. I do love Elden Ring.
I think that's
I feel like
the-
Metal Gear and GTA talk about all the time.
Apex on there?
Apex isn't on here.
I think that's the
Overwatch.
umbrella of like the fact that Elden Ring and Bloodborne are games you always talk about, and those are like Souls games.
Yeah, solo games.
Persona written in
So Persona was the 40-point answer. That was the second most popular
Yeah.
answer. The third most popular answer, Nier.
Oh,
Nier.
Okay.
The fourth most popular answer, the 20-point answer, Street Fighter.
Yeah.
Which is
thought about
interesting
that.
because I feel like I've only really talked about the new one. I'm not a big Street
Yeah.
Fighter person historically. So I would have expected better from you, audience.
Damn.
Disgusting.
audience.
I would have
Street
expected
Fighter
better.
guys, I get it.
You suck.
You got to think
audience.
that way.
With that,
Think that way.
Tim got 50 points with Sonic. Greg got 10 points with Donkey Kong. Barrett, what's the score?
Greg is still in last place with now 10 points. He's on the board. Andy is still
Get the
in
cheerleader
second
up
place,
there and try and
still
get-
with 50 points. And getting a little bit of space between him and second place is Tim motherfucking Geddes in first place with 110 points.
This might be one of those rare episodes where first place runs away with it because Tim is far ahead right now.
Hell yeah.
As we roll in,
But he usually fucks it up. Let's see if he does it this time.
as we roll into round number 3, name a PS2 game that might move a player to tears. Name a PS2 game that might move a player to tears. Greg Miller, PlayStation podcast host.
Thank you very much. Metal Gear Solid 3.
Greg says Metal Gear Solid 3. Metal Gear Solid 3 is our 20-point answer.
What the fuck?
Next up, Andy Cortez.
The boss? The lilies?
That final boss fight?
Eco.
Andy says Eco. One of my favorite games. Eco, not on the list.
You don't know shit.
Actually, that is a mistake. Eco's our 10-point answer. 10-point answer.
Oh, shit. Hey.
Next up, Tim Geddes.
Final Fantasy 10.
Tim says Final Fantasy 10. Final Fantasy 10 is our 40-point answer.
That game makes you cry?
Final Fantasy 10?
Yeah.
End.
Dude, the ending? 100%.
I never got there. Nobody beat that game.
Yeah,
This is my
they were all
story,
tuned to
dude.
Blitzball.
Come the fuck on.
Greg Miller, we're back to you. Name a PS2 game that might move a player to tears.
NBA Live 03.
Smugglers Run.
Phantom.
Shadow of the Colossus.
Greg says Shadow Colossus. Shadow Colossus is our 50-point answer.
Wow, really?
Is our number 1 answer.
It should be on the list, but like number 1. Wow.
Andy Cortez.
At this point, it's name a PS2 game. And
There's-
that's not here right now.
There's one option left at 30 points.
Oh,
Name a PS2 game that might move a player to tears.
Oh God.
Interpret it the other way and name it the worst game you can think of because it was so bad. I spent $50 on this.
I'm gonna just say Metal Gear Solid 2.
Andy says Metal Gear Solid 2. Metal Gear Solid 2 is not on the list. Tim, fucking Geddes, your final answer.
Kingdom Hearts.
Tim says Kingdom Hearts.
Good.
Kingdom Hearts is our 30-point answer.
Wow. This guy can't be stopped right now.
Tim is on fire. Tim is on fire right now. Right now,
Here's
Andy,
your sticky fucking
Andy got 10 points with Eco. Greg got 20 points with Metal Gear Solid 3. Tim got 30 points with Kingdom Hearts, and I would have taken 1 or 2 for that one. Tim got 40 more points with Final Fantasy 10. Greg got 50 points with Shadow of the Colossus. Barrett, what's the score?
Right now, the Texas Tree is in last place with 60 points. Getting ahead of him is Greg Miller with 80 points. And getting far in the lead, it's his day. How will he fuck it up? Is Tim motherfucking Geddes with 180 points.
Oh,
Wow.
Damn, I'm not seeing a lead like this
I love it.
since 2022. This is wild. As we go into round 4,
Now, Tim, I was talking shit about you the other day, and I regret it now because you're dominating right now. But
Yeah.
I was like, why are Tim and I from Gamescast not invited to all these fantasy critics? And I was like, you know what? Because Tim never votes smartly. Tim always goes for the creative answer, and it always ends up fucking you. But right now, you're going with the smart answers.
Sometimes they could be both, Andy. They could be both.
I
Tim's
mean,
locked in.
I'm locked
right
out.
now, he's locked the fuck in.
After
Yeah.
weeks and weeks of learning.
Where's this been?
Yeah, I think it's just been him taking all of it in, right? Like learning from Greg, learning from Andy, learning from Snowbike Mike, and now it's all coming into
Can't say that
fruition.
with a straight face.
Number 4, Name a type of animal you can play as in Diddy Kong Racing. Name a type of animal you can play as in Diddy Kong Racing. Because of a tie, there are two 30-point answers for 6 possible answers for this one.
Cute.
We're going to start off with Andy Cortez.
Monkey.
Are we back to this little Planet of the Apes bullshit?
Andy says monkey. That is our number 1 answer. On here is ape, but I'm gonna give you monkey.
Damn, I was really hoping you were going to say
that's
no.
the Planet of the Apes
You were going to say
argument.
no, and I was going to say ape. I was going to immediately follow it up with ape.
Next up, we got Greg Miller.
Bird.
Greg says bird. Bird is not on the list.
Bird.
There was a confidence there that I believed in.
I was like, I don't know, man.
Was that- was it-
Kazooie's got a bird. Maybe this one does too.
I was like, are you going for like a category of animal, hoping that like, oh, maybe there's a chicken in there or a rooster? I don't know. Tim Geddes.
Elephant.
Tim says elephant. Elephant is not on the list. We're back to Andy. Tim, have you played Diddy Kong Race?
I'm not a Diddy Kong Racing guy.
This is my Snowbike Mike moment of saying, Tim, you left the door open for me. Tiger.
Andy
He's leaving the door open.
said
dude.
tiger.
Don't let me sneak in.
Tiger is one of our 30-point answers.
Damn it.
And we're back to Greg.
Alligator.
I thought you were going to go worm.
Greg says alligator. You know what, Greg? I'm going to give it to you. Crocodile.
I see. I was hoping if monkey and ape worked out there, I'll
roll.
get that.
It's actually not King K. Rool.
But
It's
like Kremlins, whatever.
yeah, he looks like a Kremlin. I don't know if he's actually associated with them. I think he's just
We don't know the lore details. So
Yeah.
we can't,
yeah.
We can't,
I think he just happens to be a crocodile. All crocodiles aren't part of that gang. Tim is the whole thing I'm saying.
Yes.
Yeah.
what point answer was that?
That was the 10-point answer.
Chump change every time. You know?
Tim, you're our final answer.
Penguin.
Tim says penguin. Penguin not on the list. At 20 points, you would have guessed squirrel because remember, conquer is playable.
He is.
Yeah.
I didn't remember
Got
that.
all badass.
At 30 points, you would have guessed bear because remember, banjo is playable.
Not the bird, though.
Yeah, I know. Apparently not.
Not
Yeah,
the bird.
yeah, yeah.
Not the bird. At 40 points, you would have guessed a turtle because people like that turtle, I guess. I don't even know.
I
His
love
name.
the tiger. I always use a tiger.
The tiger was really cool.
That game's incredible.
God, Diddy Kong Racing. I was playing on my Steam Deck allegedly, and that still holds up as one of my favorite car races. I think it's better than Mario Kart.
I accidentally deleted my aunt's save file back in the day.
Oh no.
She was not happy. I didn't know what I was doing. I was like, I don't know what this console is. Deleted save file was like the whole game beat. I felt so bad, dude.
How old was your aunt at the time?
My tia was always the gamer. When I was like 5 years old, 6 years old, she was showing me as Zelda was. She was like maybe 35 or 40.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's amazing. With that, Greg got 10 points with Crocodile. Andy got 30 points with Tiger. Andy also got 50 points with Ape. Barrett, what's the score?
Right now, Greg Miller is, still in the chump change down there in third place with 90 points. In second place, catching up with his little legs, Andy Cortez with 140 points. Right ahead of him is Tim Geddes with 180 points in first place. It's a close one.
I see
It's
the light.
anybody's game.
I see the light in the gap of the door.
Don't look at the door.
The lights in
Close
the
the
gap of the
door.
door. The door left open, dude. You gotta lock that shit.
Round number 5.
Final round.
Our final round. Name a game where you can slow down time. Name a game where you can slow down time. Greg Miller.
Max Payne.
Greg says Max Payne. Max Payne is our number 1 answer. That's going to get you
Not think
50
you're
points.
gonna say
And I
that.
believe that's going to tie you up with Andy Cortez.
Damn.
Next up, Andy Cortez.
Fuck.
Andy, name a game where you can slow down time.
Prince of Persia: Sands of Time.
Andy says Prince of Persia, Sands of Time. Prince of Persia is our 40-point answer.
Fuck.
Tim Geddes.
Oh God.
Sure, Tim's feeling the breath on the back of his neck right now.
I hate this.
The pressure's on.
I'm blanking so hard. I'm gonna go Zelda.
Tim,
If you need a specific one, I can give you it.
I don't need a specific one because Zelda is not on the list. And we're back to Greg. To give people context of where the score is at right now, I believe Andy did tie up with Tim with that answer
That
of
is
Prince of
correct.
Persia.
That is correct.
No.
So the pressure's on in this final round. Greg Miller, name a game where you can slow down time.
Do you have a pick?
I'm blanking on the name. I'm trying to think of it. I can't. I'm having a lot of trouble with it right now.
Oh.
Ooh. Yo, Tim and I were on the same wavelength.
Maybe.
Like right at the same time.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I think I got one.
Greg is thinking.
Yeah, I know. Because there's so many ones where you do little things. Like I can think of like, oh, you upgrade this thing, you get extra time. But I'm like, that doesn't count, right? So that's not what they want.
That's where my head was at with Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
Not really, but
I mean, it's.
I
don't
see the game. I can see the words. I just don't know what it's called. And it's
Here's what I would like to do. I would like to respectfully pass since I can't win, and then I'd like Andy to tell me what he's thinking. And I will try to help you to beat Tim.
great.
Wow. You're thinking of what now? What?
Okay, can we get a little boom, boom, boom as I'm talking?
This is incredible. I've never seen anything like this in the history of Kind of Feedy, ladies and gentlemen.
This worked out so fucking well.
And I don't know if it'll be there.
Yeah, I don't either. Yeah.
I don't think so. What I'm gonna say is, because it's kind of like one of the. I'm just giving you my rationalization. This isn't like an ability; it just does it, and I'm hoping. I'm putting my faith in the people. Final Fantasy.
Andy.
That was not what we discussed, but off mic, I want you to know
No.
that's not.
Andy says Final Fantasy. Final Fantasy is not on the list. Tim, you're our final guess.
Tim, do you want to talk with me?
Can you guess it for the win? You have 3 options here. There's a 30-point option, the 20-point option, the 10-point option. Any of them will get you the win right here. If you don't guess right,
I
you're
need
going to
the
get a
10,
tie.
and this might be the 10. I don't expect it to be the 20 or 30, but I'm going to go with super hot.
Nice.
Tim
That's good.
guesses super hot. Super hot is our 20-point answer.
No! Yes! Was that the one you were thinking, Barrett?
I was thinking Fallout.
That's
Fallout.
That's-
Oh.
Yeah.
So to give a breakdown, right? Because at 10 points, you would have guessed Quantum Break.
Oh, no, I still would have lost.
You still would have lost. That was what he couldn't remember, and that's what I gave him.
I still would have lost.
At 30
Fuck.
points, you would have guessed Bayonetta.
Oh,
Which I feel like that's, you know, that that's not as much on our radar,
was how
but
many
it's
points?
a good answer. That was our 30-point answer, was Bayonetta. I did have a tiebreaker ready in case there was a tie with our 6th answer, 7th answer, and 8th answer. Our 6th answer was Red Dead Redemption, both 1 and 2,
Sure.
for slowing down time. Our 7th answer, God of War, for slowing down time.
Oh, yeah, the original games, the original trilogy. Yep.
And then our 8th answer was Fallout 3/4 for the VAT system.
Yeah.
So with that, Greg got 50 points with Max Payne. Andy got 40 points with Prince of Persia. Tim got 20 points with Super Hot. Barrett, what's the final score?
The final score for this incredible episode of Kind of Feedy.
was good.
Greg
That was a
came
good
in
one.
3rd place with 140 points, caught up as much as he could.
Thank you.
Someone who almost tied it and almost took the win, but choked as he usually does, is Andy Cortez with 180 points. But today's
Can we get the
champion
one? Can we get the one, Barry?
is Tim motherfucking Geddes with 200 points.
Smells like guarine.
I was gonna say, how does it feel to hold it? Is it sticky?
Real sticky, everybody. But it feels good. Thank you all.
Ladies and gentlemen, I've been Blessing. That's been Tim. That's been Andy. That's been Greg. And this has been another episode of Kind of Feedy. It's been our pleasure to serve you.
Guarana.
Far on.